Hello, good morning, and welcome to Newsfile. This is your final and special edition for 2013. Call it the Review Edition. We will take you to the Supreme Court. You remember the Supreme Petition. What do we have to take away from that 8 months or so of trial? We'll look at the twin judgment debts, Amidu's wins, and ask where the cash is. Of course, the president has been in the corruption war front, and we want to ask what the results have been in respect of Jida, Suba, and Sada. Well, there have been energy, or call it the doomsday crisis. Is it over or over 90% better? And what is the deal for 2014? We heard about the campaign about energy for all. There were labor unrests, but are we going to see more as the government talks about no salary raise in 2014? We'll go to the sole commissioner. I don't know where he's sitting now because where he sits is bent. So we go to the sole commissioner on questionable judgment debts, drill ship mystery. We go also to the Supreme Court again, where Victoria's Secrets got judges to sit. There was some gayism in Ghana's parliament and the seat of government. What did we agree? Did we have a consensus as to what our position as a country is on the thorny issue? We'll also look at the arsonists who had been on our major markets. U.S. sniper, fire snipers, call them, came to help us get rid of them. Did they? And there was terrorism here in Accra at the Council of States and the literature lecture halls. We'll be right back after this break. It's a 4-hour edition of Newsfile, and you want to grab your seats and get ready, and let's go on a long-term memory discussion. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Once again, good morning to you and welcome to Newsfile. This is your most authoritative news analysis show. I am Samson Ladi Anyenini, and today we're doing the review edition of Newsfile. We have 4 solid hours to look at some of the very critical issues that came up in the course of the year. We'll look at the Supreme Petition. We'll look at the twin judgment debts. I'm talking about those judgment debts in which Martin Amidu won for this country. Isofoton, Waterville, monies are supposed to be collected back. Where are the monies? The president has been in the front of the fight against corruption, making codes of conduct for his officers, and also codifying legislation on grafts or corruption. All of those, we will look at them. What's the status and where are we going? The energy problems or crisis that we had in the course of the year. Now the president says it is time to now talk about Memao Light and Impo. Not Wajisoya Mahama and also here. Well, we'll talk about that one and what the future is about our energy situation. We know how much of a great impact that had on business and the economy in general. There were labor unrests, remember, strikes upon strikes, where even the Fair Wages, Labor Commission, they all failed. The president had to step in at certain points. Now, what are we going to see in the coming year? Are we going to see a year that will start with yet another labor problems because there will not be any pay rise? Sole Commissioner on Judgment or Questionable Judgment Debts, that was his mandate. Now, he's still doing his job. You remember the drill ship matter took center stage We will look at, review that matter as well, the Victoria's Secrets, those gossips, or the real matters that have now got the attention of the CJ, forming a committee to investigate matters of alleged compromise of the judgments of the Supreme Court, or some sort of travesty of justice in the process. There was also the issues of gayism in Ghana, a minister who went for vetting, that caught the attention of the House, and they had to grill her on that for almost the entire period that she spent in the House. Even the presidency was brought into the debates of gay rights. Now, we'll also review the market fires and the allegations of arsonists that appear to have come in that regard, and the U.S. group that came to assist as well. And finally, we will look at the terrorism that Westgate Mall in Kenya that also took one of Ghana's beloved, Professor Awono. If there are any matters that you also remember that you want us to review or look at, you can share your views with us. Of course, the JIDA, SUBA, SADA matters cannot escape the discussion this morning. This is Newsfile. It is your most authoritative news analysis show. This morning, I'll have Abdul Malik Kwekubaka Jr., who is a regular panelist on this show. We'll have Abraham Amaliba, who is a legal practitioner, law lecturer, and also with the National Democratic Congress legal team. We'll have Dr. Sule Gareba, who is coming from the presidency, and I'll introduce all my guests when they take their seats. But I must announce that Kwekubaka Jr. and Abraham Amaliba are here in the studio. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Samson.
Thank you. Now, this show is brought to you by the kind of sponsorship of MTN. Everywhere you go, Errata Motors, that is where you get the best vehicles at the best prices. Star Assurance, that is your CIMG 2012 General Insurance Company of the Year. And they are providing you the very best in insurance policies. That's Star Assurance. That's your solid partner. Thank you very much. Don't also forget that The Mirror is out on Fridays. That's your favorite weekend paper. The Mirror is celebrating its 60th anniversary. And as part of the celebration, they want their valued readers to get fresh content to read over more days. The Mirror is out on your news stands on Fridays and Saturdays. So get your copy and read fresh content in addition to your regular columns. So please don't forget, get your Mirror. And this program is also brought to you by Lipton Tea, inspiration flowing from nature. I cannot forget also the kind sponsorship of Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and as close as a partner. Of course, my outfit, as always, is provided by Latida. Thank you very, very much. Now, let me see if I can take you a bit down memory lane. It started as a complaint a day after elections, 8th December 2012, and President Mahama confesses he saw the complaint of systematic fraud. You remember that? Systematic fraud in the polls as a joke. Well, when they took the petition to the EC the next day, he told them to go to court. And the 28th December will commence a long, real, not a joke, not a cheap, go to court process. It would take all Ghanaians to a law school at the Supreme Court, so people having to attend classes instead of going to work for as long as 8 good months to be treated to a pensive graduation day on the 26th of August 2013. Pink sheets, amicus amicuji. And you know your real size. These are all some very interesting matters that came out of the Supreme Court. Let's go right into the Supreme Court room and refresh our memories on one or two of the issues that came up.
My Lords, I apologize for my irresponsible statements. I should have been a little bit careful and picked and chosen my words very carefully. I humbly apologize, and I think it will not happen again. And just for the record, my Lords, I started apologizing way before I even...
Upon a scrutiny of the petition, we found that the issues to be determined are set out at page 125 of the Council for Petitioners' written address. They are as follows: 1. Overvoting. 2. Voting without biometric verification. 2. Absence of the signature of a presiding officer. 4. Duplicate serial numbers, that is to say, occurrence of the same serial number on patients for 2 different polling stations. 5. Duplicate polling station codes, that is to say, occurrence of different results of patients for polling stations with the same polling station codes. And 6. Unknown polling stations, that is to say, results recorded for polling stations which are not part of the list of 26,002 polling stations provided by the second respondent for the election. We unanimously dismiss the claims relating to duplicate serial numbers, duplicate polling station codes, and unknown polling stations, that's for short. Atuguba, Adeyira, Bafubani, Gedegwe, and Akotobamfu JJLC dismissed the claim of overvoting. Atuguba, Adeyira, Bafubani, Gedegwe, and Akotobamfu JJLC dismissed the claim relating to absence of signature of presiding officer. Atuguba, Adeyira, Doche, Bafubani, Gedegwe, and Akoto Bamfu dismissed the claim relating to voting without biometric verification. Ansa, Owusu, and Eni Yabua JJSC grant all the 3 claims, that's to say overvoting, absence of presiding officer signature, and voting without biometric verification. And all the votes involved and order a rerun of the affected areas. Doche JLC grants the claim of overvoting, but has provided a roadmap in his judgment as to the figures of votes to be ascertained and cancelled, and a rerun of the areas affected. Doche JLC opposed the claim relating to absence of presiding officer signatures on the pink sheets, cancels the results concerned, and orders a rerun of the areas affected. Bafubani JLC grants the claim of voting without biometric verification, cancels the votes involved, and orders a rerun of the areas affected. In the circumstances, the overall effect is that the first respondent was validly elected, and the petition is therefore dismissed. Our various judgments, for the sake of convenience, are handed over to the registrar of this court.
My Lord, we finished the trial. We are waiting for judgment. I believe that...
My Lords, I apologize for my irresponsible statements. I should have been a little bit careful and picked and chosen my words very carefully. I humbly apologize, and I think it will not happen again. And just for the record, my lords, I started apologizing way before I even got the summons.
My lord, the publication is false. It's false, yeah, and I've never made a statement on any of the FM stations in Kumasi. My lord, on Thursday, I did not go to radio stations in Kumasi. And the manager of the FM station are prepared to testify.
Beyond being fair to the facts, there is the issue of the rulings that Michael Lord gives.
Stephen Artediga has shown thorough remorse, having admitted his error readily.
My Lord, we finished the trial. We are waiting for judgment. I believe that any move on the part of your court to impose a custodial sentence might not augur well in view of the expectation that everybody appears, everybody's talking about peace. We see on the television everywhere, let there be peace, let there be peace, let there be peace. But now we can only pray indeed the peace.
Find him guilty of intentional criminal contempt of this court. We impose on him a fine of 5,000 Ghana cedis, or in default 6 months imprisonment. In addition, he should sign a bond to be of good behavior for 6 months, or in default 6 months imprisonment. He should also retract and apologize for his contemptuous utterances over the same Oman FM, the platform on which he indulged in them, within 24 hours. Hobson Adoye, we find him guilty of criminal contempt of this intentional criminal contempt of this court. Considering that he is a layman, unlike Kojo Owusu-Afriye, and considering his ready admission of his guilt, but not forgetting the gravity of his threats, and otherwise for the reasons of peace building by the stakeholders of peace referred to in the case of Kojo Owusu-Afriye, we impose on him a fine of 2,000 Ghana cedis, or in default 3 months imprisonment. He should also enter into a bond to be of good behavior for 3 months, or in default 3 months imprisonment.
My lords, I...
Take it off.
This is what they have.
You're welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us here on your Joy News channel. This is your multi-TV, and also you are on Joy 99.7 FM. You can watch and listen to us across the country and also all over the world. Thank you very, very much. I'm informed that some gestures of mine were captured on television. Forgive me. Had my own issues to sort out here with some members of my team. Now, as you have watched, just give you a glimmer back into what happened in the Supreme Court, but we just brought you the net effect as Justice Atuga announced, and then the bit of the contempt matters that came up. Thank you very much for joining us. Gabi Asare-Otudako will be here to represent the New Patriotic Party. Of course, he is he's no more. He's former director of the executive director of the Dankwa Institute. He's also a legal practitioner. He will be here in the studio. So we are waiting for Gabi Asare-Otudako and Dr. Gariba Sule Gariba from the presidency. But as already announced, Abraham Amaliba is here, and Kweku Bako Jr. is also here. Now, we want to start on a note that I am told we cannot escape before we go into the review that we are set to do. And that is to take a very quick look at what Andrew Awuni says is a big hit for contributors to SNIT. You know that he took a suit to the courts, and his capacity to sue SNIT and all the other 12 defendants was challenged. Now, the court gave its ruling on the 18th of December and declared that Andrea Wuni does not have the locus to sue SSNIT on its investment decisions. I've got a copy of the judgment here, but I'm sure some of you have read my summary of what the judgment should have been, listening to what the judgment was read in court, my notes, and I'll just go through that one briefly for you, and then I'll bring my guest in. Nana Todazi has taken the place of Dr. Sule Garba. Good morning and welcome to the show, Nana Todazi.
Thank you very much.
Great. Just brings back to memory, the petition, the period of the petition hearing. Now, okay, so the court says that a sole contributor or beneficiary questioning investment decisions of SSNIT in court, this is how it comes to the conclusion it does not find a locus or a capacity for that person. The court says, combing through the relevant statutes, that is the Pensions Act, it cannot find a perceptible locus for the contributor to sue, perceptible interest that will ground his locus to sue. That it finds, though, that a beneficiary or contributor may sue if pension payments are in issue. If your pension payments, you have problems with them, that one you may be able to sue SSNIT. That there exists sufficient enough regulatory frameworks within SSNIT's structures, including recourse to the trustees. If you have a problem, you could go to the trustees and make a complaint and they may help you out. The court also said that a contributor is not a member of the Board of Trustees or the National Pensions Authority, so for as long as you do not belong to the Auditor General's outfit or the Finance Ministry or an embodiment of Parliament, you do not have a locus. That a contributor's interest is protected through the requirement of the law for the entity to fully account for its investment decisions, meaning that the investment decisions of SSNIT are audited by the Auditor General, and the Auditor General sends a report to the Finance Minister, and the Finance Minister sends that report to Parliament, and Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, will question that. So that is a process that exists for a contributor to have his interests protected. In sum, the court said that one's relationship as a contributor to the scheme does not create a trustee relationship at large, because your relationship or that sort of trustee relationship is one that is regulated by law. The court also said that it had checked the Contracts Act, that is Section 5, to see if a contributor has accrued or vested rights to ground his capacity, but it didn't find any. The court also said that in the company law, that's the Companies Act, a contributor is not a shareholder or an officer of merchant bank, so you do not have a locus to sue. And that in the law that established SSNIT, it was not the intention of Parliament to vest rights in every single of the millions of contributors, and I'm quoting the court, to sue. If that were to be the case, SSNIT will sit in the court every day because all the millions of contributors will be suing. That in the persuasive, or what you call the non-binding English precedents or cases that Egbert Fabel had used to support his case, none of those cases was initiated by a single individual contributor. And then I spoke about also the court giving a hint that maybe an alternative way is to go through a representative action. Well, we know that there has been appeal that has been taken to the Court of Appeal over this matter. Now we take a quick, bite on this issue, and then we go to the Supreme Court. I'll start with you, Abdul Malik. How did you feel about this?
Well, I was very disappointed.
Disappointed?
Yes. You've read the law. I've read the judgment. I can see where the law stands. And so it's not a question of coming out to bastardize a judicial pronouncement by a judge who had the competence to do so. But I think there's something wrong with the law. It means I'm conceding that on the face of the law, the ruling may be justified. But I think that it doesn't go with the spirit of the occasion and the issue that was at stake. That's why I said I was disappointed. I think that we need to take another critical look at the law. You see, the Board of Trustees, it appears they have the mandate to initiate the kind of action that Awuni was thinking of. That's the members of the Board of Trustees. But in a situation where the members of the Board of Trustees or the Board of Trustees as a collective are part of the problem, who initiates action? If they are part of the problem, nobody initiates action. So then it means that they may be even doing wrong things, but the law protects them, indemnifies them ahead of time. And I have a difficulty with that. So if that is the law, then that law presents a certain mischief which ought to be cured through an amendment. I mean, that's going forward. But I'm sure you are restricting us to just the court issue. Exactly. Otherwise, you said there was a hint that the judge also dropped about there could be the option of representative action.
Right.
Class action of some sort.
The class action aspect, that one was suggested by Senior Sam Okujeto.
Okay, but representative action...
That is in company law, yes. Separate from...
So if I look at the membership of the Board of Trustees, I see organized labor represented there. And organized labor have called for a suspension of the deal in view of lack of transparency and adequate information on certain aspects. Now, clearly, these were people who were part and parcel of the decision that was taken earlier.
Yes, the court mentioned that.
Yes, and that is a bit intriguing, and they ought to suffer some critique for that, to be honest with you. But it still doesn't change the substance of the issue. So I think that going forward, perhaps organized labor should take a cue from the hint that was dropped by the judge and initiate the representative action, so that we can deal with this issue well. Look, I've always said that for all you know, the Fortis deal may be a good one, but I want it consummated within the context of greater transparency and adequate information flow. It must have integrity so that it can have collective endorsement of the public. That is where I stand. So to be honest with you, I was actually, I repeat, disappointed and not too excited about the outcome.
You don't find sense in the court saying that if that were to be the case, the floodgates will be opened and all the millions of SNIT contributors can get up any day and say, look, I want to know what is going on in this particular investment decision, and will be saddled with such a situation that will be absurd.
Well, that court is within the court's remit to cure that absurdity. When the election petition was ongoing, there were some 300-400 people who wanted to join the thing. The court looked at it on its merit and cured that mischief. So there's always the right, the authority of the court to cure that kind of mischief of absurdity.
Right.
So that should not be used.
Great. Abi.
To be honest, let me just conclude. I think the greater problem, the greater mischief or evil, quote unquote, is with a situation where the Board of Trustees could be part of the problem and so would not initiate action to cure the mischief.
Okay. Now the court says that this Board of Trustees and everything that they do, as far as their investment decisions are concerned, the law says they are supposed to give a full account of their investment decisions, and the law is categorical on that.
Yes,
and that when they give this full account, this account is audited by the Auditor General. The Auditor General sends that report to the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance sends it to Parliament. So there is a check.
Timelines. Timelines.
It may be too late.
Timelines.
I see.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Abi.
Something. In the contrary, I was not disappointed at all, because immediately the issue of capacity was raised in this matter, I knew that it was going to be a Herculean task for Awuni and his lawyers to clear. You see, the SNIT and the funds that SNIT regulates are regulated by law.
Right.
Now, the law indicates clearly that it is the Board of Trustees who have the mandate to take investment decisions. Now, this writ filed by Awuni was seeking to interfere in the investment decisions of the Board of Trustees.
They make the point that investment decisions that you are making using my money, you are holding the money in trust for me. That is not as if the money belongs to you.
That may be a relevant point to make, but once a law regulates an activity, you don't go outside the law. It is different if there's no law regulating that area of issue. But once the law regulates it, we all go by the law. We are ruled by law, but not by men. The issue of citizenship should be separated from the issue of capacity to initiate actions. And that was the confusion in the minds of Awuni and some others who thought like him.
That was not merely citizenship. It was a citizen who has his money being held in trust for him by SNIT.
Yes. And again, they went to court on the basis that once he's a Ghanaian and a contributor, he could initiate the action.
Right.
But you see, because the law is so specific as to who can take action, Awuni was shut down. The court also looked at, and rightly you mentioned, the floodgate principle. You are not ready for the floods. Why do you open the gates?
The court didn't actually discuss that.
No.
It was Tony later who pushed that argument strongly and forcefully. But the court, just ran just a bit around it. It didn't really dwell on that.
Yes. It is a principle that guides every court.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's a principle that is known to our courts. And so that also informed the decision taken by the court.
Yeah.
It is not as if the court erred. You may not like what the law is, but as it is now, we sit today, that is the law. There's an appeal. I will not know the grounds upon which they are appealing, but I think that this ruling coming from the judge was founded on the law,
right.
And I see the ruling as being proper and real.
Now, the question that has come up and that is being discussed generally is social, moral, and legal. Is that, what is this? I am required compulsorily to make contributions to a fund. I do not have a choice. We know about George Agude recently. He had to suffer jail because he was not doing the right thing in respect of paying the contribution of his workers. So if I am required compulsorily to contribute, I should have the right to go to court to question how you invest that money. That's the question. And people are saying, if this is what it is, then we should now make the law such that contributing to the SNIT fund is voluntary.
well, it is a very interesting proposition, but underlining all this is a basic idea of representation. We shouldn't just, we can use so many examples to demonstrate the rightness of the court's position. You have parliament. Every Ghanaian votes, you get me? But we elect people to parliament. So those people are our spokesperson. They take decisions.
So who is saying that when it gets to parliament, by that time, the thing has been done?
Yes.
The wrong has been done.
How many wrong decisions do not come out of parliament, which are changed by law or other things? You get me? I'm just saying that we must understand that the concept of representation is very necessary. Secondly, look, if you put your money into a bank, you go and save in a bank.
Right.
And you see that the bank is running down, like Piram situation. You simply cannot go and start an action. You understand? Immediately you put your money into the bank, it ceases to be your money, as it were.
The bank is a private, commercial entity.
Understand.
We're talking about one which has a corporate, image.
No, I'm just drawing listeners' attention to the whole concept of representation, and that there comes a time when you will have to deal with people, prepare their representatives, not necessarily government is the sole, shareholder in SNIT, the largest, the single, and then it has appointed these trustees and all that, plus the other contributors, Now, those trustees surely have a right to take any position if they deem fit. Like Koko is saying,
if they are doing it wrong, we should shut up.
if they are doing it wrong, I don't think that we set up. The question is, how do we approach it? Does any single person just get up and go to court like the constitutional mandate where you say that once you think that the constitution is being violated?
They say there's a recourse to the trustees. You can go and complain to them. Yes. Go and complain to the people who are violating what I feel, who are doing what I feel is wrong.
But isn't it strange? Isn't it strange that organized labor, who are represented fully on the board, are now sitting outside complaining that the wrong thing was done? Meanwhile, just a contributor is the one going to court. I think there's something strange. So it is not true to say that the trustees are doing something that that's totally wrong or they do not know constitute the wrong thing.
Right.
If the organized labor who are part of the trustees think that something is going on wrong, absolutely they have a right to go.
And I understood the court to say that what this particular contributor is saying is that he's dissatisfied with certain things. And the court is suggesting that for as long as he's not pointing to the violation or threatened violation of certain rights that have accrued to him, you should just forget it. It doesn't give you a course of action.
Yes, because
your dissatisfaction is as far as it goes.
Because you see, some of our interests may be temporary. When you do a total evaluation or giving time, you find out that maybe this judgment, this decision of the board was right.
Your rights only accrue as a contributor when you are due for pension and to receive your money. You go to Senate and they say there's no money. Then that is where you say, aha.
Or they make a wrong calculation.
They make a wrong calculation.
They underpay you.
Then that's where your rights accrue. Then you say, good. Now, why haven't you paid me my money?
I see.
I'm going to send it to court and I'll touch your property.
Interesting.
So until then, your rights will accrue.
Interesting. Okay, so this is where we end this. We end this. Your messages are welcome on that one too as well, because it's been one of the major issues for the year. Just that it just happened. It happened just yesterday. So it's okay to review it as well. Now we're going to the Supreme Court, but we'll also be discussing the issue of energy, Dumso, and where we are now. We are privileged to have the Energy Minister, but he would like to talk to us now so that he goes into an important meeting. So whilst we are doing the Supreme Court, we'll get him in and we'll talk to him as well. Do we have the Energy Minister on the line? Okay, we'll go to the Energy Minister as and when we have him. Now, let's cast our minds back. Nana Atudazi. Now, let me once again formally introduce him. He's a former Chief of Staff, and he's also with the NDC's legal team. Not exactly, but with the team of for the NDC when the petition was going on.
A spokesperson.
Oh, you do?
Spokesperson.
Yeah, you were the spokesperson for the team.
With him.
Right. Thank you.
He was our leader.
Thank you. Nana, I think that for me, I'm interested in asking the question, what have we taken away from the petition? Lessons.
Well, thank you very much. I think that it's been a big lesson for the country. For me, it's a constitutional bridge which we've crossed. And Ghana, I believe, is richer for it. We have a precedent. For instance, now we know what to do, if we have such an election crisis, coming up. People do know that they can go to court instead of going to the circle, to go and vent their feelings out there. Secondly, we also do know...
Okay. Nana, thank you. You have to stop there for me. I'll have to go to the Energy Minister, the Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa. Hello, good morning and welcome to Newsfile, sir.
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
Right. As part of our review, we're looking at also the Dumso matters. We know of the situation where the then minister in charge of power, who was a deputy minister, Inusa Fuseni, gave deadlines to end the load shedding. It didn't work. The president also came in, gave some timelines. These timelines too did not work, about 2 times or so. And then eventually we came to a point where the tariffs have been raised by 78%, 78.9%, and then it was forced down to 59.18%. we are also aware that Bui Dam had just come online for full capacity. The question is, the load shedding problems and all the power crisis issues, is it over, or, as I ask, is 90% improved?
Thank you very much. I think, again, let me give you a listeners and thank your panelists. We've had challenges, of course, in the past, and you know why that happened. It happened because we had the disruption of the gas pipe. And some of those issues you raised had to do with the repair work and how long it took, and promises that were made to Ghana, and those promises to bring gas never came to fruition. And so it created those challenges. But having said that, I'm happy to say that that pipeline has been repaired, and gas from Nigeria has been flowing and has been enhanced. We this year had committed and set up a goal to increase power generation. The target is to get to 5,000 by 2016. Our target was to increase it by about 500, and we calculated to bring 132 megawatts from the T3, 2 megawatts solar, and 400 wind. And at the end of the year, it has all come in place, so 533 megawatts have come in. Having said that, let me also say that, yes, of course, the 132 megawatts of T3 has some challenges with explosion. And as we speak, it's on the repair, and it's coming up, June is coming up in January. But because of these new additions, I think we've seen clear improvement in combination of the gas flowing. We know from the experience we had that it is not simply a question of getting enough generation. Now we have to fight to have fewer solutions that are cheaper to really make sure that we do not have the challenges we had. And that is why the issue of the gas plant and the progress that is being made on that aspect is also very important. You see that this year we also initiated new development, the 10, which is going to bring more gas. And after that, we are also going to have more gas from the Jinyami Sankofa to bring more gas, because gas solutions will help address the issue of cheap fuel, which is really a challenge. And so all these things are coming together. But to put it briefly, yes, we've cut a corner in terms of the generation we have right now. We've added that number, that puts us at 2,800 roughly. It means that we are up going forward. But we still have a lot of work to do. We must continue, as we increase generation, address the issue of how we use electricity by drumming up and educating on the issue of efficient use of electricity. It is very critical in helping us to address that, while we address the issue of tariffs at the same time.
The promise that Ghanaians looked up to was to end the Dumso situation. I sat here one of the shows and beat my chest and said that, the problem is over. Then I went home, and in the course of a week, I was visited with another, strain of doom sauce. The critical question is it really over?
I think it's over. I think it's over. What we have to focus on, if you see what we've been doing this year, as we bring in our generation, immediately our focus should turn on our distribution challenges. And that is why, as I speak to you, we are working to expand our transmission infrastructure. We are doing Tumuhanwa, we are doing Christia Kumasi Borga transmission, we are doing Pando KGB to expand and make our transmission more robust. But more importantly, we are also working on a lot of distribution improvement with the ECG and NETCO, because that is ultimately the key. Those distribution must be efficient enough to ensure that the power that is actually coming is actually being distributed efficiently. The losses must be reduced. And I'm happy to say that this year we've seen a real dramatic reduction in losses. And that is something we have to continue to do. And it calls for a real improvement in how ECG is managed. And I think those are the steps we are taking.
Our lights just went off and back quickly. It went off. It's actually off now. We're using a generator. I'm not sure it could be attributed to that.
If you have such a problem, and that's exactly what I'm talking.
Right.
It means it's a localized problem.
Right. And the question I'm asking is the government's policy or agenda was energy for all. are we sure of energy security in 2014?
I think I've said it. We are very confident of the progress we've made. We cannot rest on our laurels. We cannot just be so happy about what we've been able to add. We just have to continue working. Already we set clear targets to continue this improvement. But we must all do it together. And government has taken very important decisions this year, if you notice. One, the reason why you see government saying to ministries, departments, agencies, secondary schools, polytechnics that listen, you are going to be accountable to for the electricity you use is because we cannot continue to pay this huge debt. That has really crippled the utilities in the past.
Right.
And then end up accumulating it. President has extended it even to ministers. And he's doing that because we want to make sure that our distribution infrastructure, which is very important, is efficient.
Right.
It can be efficient if they are putting in proper management system, but also revenue streams must come so that they can pay the independent power producers that are ultimately going to be the key to expanding our electricity.
Nanato has a question for you, but hold on, I'll ask my very last question, and this is also about the aspect you spoke about paying the realistic prices. You know, cheap energy means more employment. We know what the effects of the crisis had been on industry. There were companies or entities that were driven down. Some laid off their workers. Some simply said that they had to fold up. Are we going to have cheap energy, or we are going to have to face expensive tariffs?
I think that we are doing everything possible to make sure that we have cheap fuel sources. Cheap fuel sources will help reduce the cost of electricity, and that is why we are talking about gas. As I speak to you, we are also working on LNG as a solution in the long term. These are the keys to making electricity cheaper, and government has taken a view that we have to continue pushing to bring those solutions in. If you see this year, the president has said it several times. He's devoted all his energies to try to address this critical bottleneck in our economy. This is the key to expanding our economy. This is the key to bringing jobs. And so, yes, we are doing that to make sure that electricity will be cheaper coming forward in the future.
Thank you. Nana, so does ask your question.
Yeah. Good morning, my honorable minister.
Good morning.
I hope you're doing good. I just want to know, where have we reached? Have we reached what is the optimum level of energy that is required for this country? Are we anywhere near it? Is there a gap? That do you have some figures?
Question.
Yeah, some figures.
We are doing is it 2,800 now?
Yes.
Yeah, we are doing 2,800.
Right.
Actually, just 2 years ago, we were saying that the demand was 7.5%. It is now 10% annually. It comes to about 200 megawatts every year. What it means is that we have to just continue to expand our electricity infrastructure, add more generation, and make sure there's enough fuel solution annually. 200 megawatts must be added. And because the planning is such a long-term plan, we cannot afford to wait when the time comes. That's why, if you realize this year, the president challenged us to lay out on a yearly basis what is going to be added. I can tell you right now that next year, our target in the energy sector is to bring 342. And the reason why we know that will happen is because those projects are already ongoing.
All right.
We have to mitigate and ensure that those risks are avoided so that those projects will come on stream. And so that is really the key. We know what has to come in 2015, and we have to start now and work towards that. But I think where we are doing very well. We cannot keep our eye off the ball at all.
Your ministry has been appraised, right? The performance appraisal. You have gone through that, right?
That is correct.
Great. From a ratio of 1 to 10, score yourself.
My mother has told me never to score myself, and I'll never do it. I think I leave that for those who are doing the review to do that. But you see, it is very important to really give the credit president when it comes to the energy sector.
But after having enumerated all that you have done, you can't rate yourself?
Well, I think that I'll leave that for you, but I think we've done a good job. The energy sector is made up of 60%.
Yeah, but I think that it is important.
I can tell you a very interesting story.
Sorry, but we don't have time. I think we have to end it here.
That's fine. Right. But I think that we've done very well. Yeah, I think that's what I can say.
Very well. Thank you very much indeed for your time. That is the Energy Minister, Emmanuel Kofi Amankwah. Thank you very much indeed for your time. We should have been speaking to him sometime later when we get to the questioning of reviewing the energy crisis, but unfortunately he has to, he's not available for us at the time when we'll get to that subject. That's why we had him on. There are other people in government that we'll be speaking to get some sort of status update on some of the critical matters, including Jida Suba corruption matters. So when the time is due, we'll get in touch with those who are concerned and they will speak to us. Nana, you were talking about the election petition and the lessons that the country must have learnt.
Yes. Just briefly, I would say that it's been a precedent for all of us. One, for those who may want to petition in future, the issues will ever continue to be raised. Two, for the lawyers who practice, we've also learned a lot, learned the ropes. Three, for the court itself, the judges themselves, procedurally, I mean, we've all learned a lot. And then also, you would also look at the EC itself. The EC has been put under the microscope. Its rules and regulations and practices have also been subjected to intense scrutiny. Right. Some have posted roadmaps for the progress for the future. It is also interesting that the parties themselves, after all said and done, have sat back and have thrown out proposals for reform. And I think that is the path that we should be going. I mean, this is the constitutional path, where we lay down procedures to deal with issues and problems we have, and say that, look, it is not about personalities. It's not about a judge or some judges, but our processes may have to be examined. If we need to amend, like in the state case, if we want to amend, we amend, we go to parliament to examine and all. And that is the path to a true, stable, constitutional, democratic state.
Abi, I think the most important point he refers to it is about the recommendations by the court for reforms, quote unquote, because largely when you look at them, they are not reforms, so to speak. I have spoken to officers of the Electoral Commission, and they say that they will start the processes in NX next year, and they are actually looking at intensification of their training program for officers and also for key stakeholders in the process. But Nanato, as you mentioned, what specifically are the parties themselves doing, especially about, in their own small ways, about some of the complaints that came up and all of that?
I can tell you that myself and Nanato Dazi are members of a committee that the NDC put together to look at these reforms. And so on the part of the NDC, there are moves going on, and we have identified some areas. Beyond the party, I know IEA has organized the inter-party platform. I attended 2 of those meetings, one in Akosombo, the other one in Koforidua, where all the political parties met and looked at the way forward. So it's not as if the parties are not doing anything. They are actually reacting to the Supreme Court proposals. And the EC itself has also called for some reforms. And so all stakeholders are busily involved and engaged in these electoral reforms. But Samson, do you know that next Saturday will be exactly 1 year that the petitioners went to court? It was on the 28th.
Right.
And it all started like a joke.
The president says so.
Indeed, we all thought so. And immediately they filed their petition, and it was served on the president. And the lawyers were given the copy of the petition. immediately it galvanized the NDC lawyers together. Indeed, you didn't have to wait for a message. All we did was everyone was calling the other. Where are you? Where are you? Let's assembly at this point. It was at that point that we knew that there was something serious and we need to intervene. So clearly the petition actually cut short our Yuletide celebrations. I was about to travel to Bolga. All of a sudden I had to put a hold to it. And now was supposed to meet his people. Everything came to a standstill. So the election petition itself came as a surprise
you
to
people,
your
chambers. Did your chambers work?
No. Well, I'm suffering from it. As of today, there are cases we were unable to attend to, which, people entered judgment against us. We are trying to reverse a lot of suffering.
I had cases with some people who were in there, and we have to be taking adjournment.
Exactly. I know some Friday to suit them. It's Friday, yes. And most of the time, my cases were put on Friday. Some judges would say that, look, the man you are talking about is not conducting the case. Yes. He's talking. Why is he not in court? But you see, this was a case that was so involving that you didn't just need only the lawyers who were conducting the case. And so it had a toll on us. Our purse had to reduce because we were not getting the kinds of money that we would have gotten if we were stuck to our own cases. So we lost. But we did that for Mother Ghana, I must say.
Oh, you're saying that after the victory, you were not paid your dues?
No, this was gratis. This was gratis. We did this. This is pro bono. Pro bono for the love of the party.
You don't do such cases for pro bono.
No. You see, the party has followers.
Yes.
Indeed, I'm sure there are farmers who are followers of the party. And so when they bring tubers of yam as their contribution, you don't pay for that. So we also, I don't farm, he doesn't farm. What he has is his legal skills, and it called for that. So we provided our legal skills.
Okay, Abdul Malik.
And we didn't expect any payment from that.
Abdul Malik.
By now, we would have been driving in new cars and all over. You would have seen it.
The petition.
So we are being told that the election petition affected the individual economies.
Exactly. That is true.
Legal team.
That is true.
As well as the country.
Even the country.
Well, I challenge that. As for the country, I challenge it. And yet we are yet to be given hardcore statistical evidence to back that assertion. Whilst we were undergoing that petition litigation in court, we were raising billions of dollars on the capital market. So really, I challenge that. Bring hardcore evidence for us to proceed on. Then you may convince me. But I'm not too sure. Did the president say he thought the thing was a joke?
Yes.
Or he thought they were joking? Which one was which? But the point is this. It was significant. Here were people exercising their constitutional right.
To joke. Constitutional right to joke.
But I know you don't mean it. Because your own preliminary remarks showed that this was a serious exercise and that it has actually deepened the constitutional democratic culture.
The president admitted that.
Yes, and Mr. Daisy himself also said so here. So that one was just part of the thing. And indeed, that's my position. That instead of people opting for street action or bush activity, they opted for the appropriate forum that had been prescribed by the Constitution, showing that they were law-abiding and also seeking to enhance Ghana's democratic image. That is the effect of what happened. It couldn't have been people joking. It couldn't have been people who were trying to mess around with the destiny of this country. In any case, in 2005, the NDC found it necessary to proceed to court, beginning from the level of the High Court. Indeed, it was the EC that eventually took the matter to the Supreme Court. Theirs was through the back door, and I don't think they were even joking. They meant business.
How do you mean back door?
Oh, you went through the back door. You were eventually asking for the CI 49. That is the President-elect declaration instrument. I'm not sure I've put it the right way. To be annulled, to be revoked. And if that had been done, it would have meant that we had not properly elected a president.
And
that would mean the 21 days that you had not been able to meet would have started counting. So then you could slot in an election petition, so to say. That's what I meant by backdoor. Yeah, but that's what I meant by backdoor. You were 1.5 years or so late. And so you were not seeking to come through the back door. But anyway, that's
backdoor legal strategy.
Yes,
legal strategy. Backdoor connotes illegality.
All right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it to be an illegality. But the key point is what we've all admitted, that this was a very significant development that would have some value addition for our democratic cause. The live telecast too, the fact that it was the Chief Justice agreed to give it that live broadcast telecast angle also helped to, bring.
Even though some of the justices didn't like that idea.
I'm sure about that, but it helped. Yeah. I'm being honest with you, it demystified the process, brought a lot of some legal education to all of us, even as Mr. Dazi agrees, even to some lawyers and judges. But it helped. So whatever tensions had been, built in the system, continuously, progressively, were being dissipated by the kind of live telecasts we're having. We're getting knowledge, we're hearing the issues, and the humor that came in off and on from the panel itself helped to say that, look, we are all one people, and that's it. There were significant parts, issues that came up. For me, I had been, and I still am, in principle, a defender of the EC in totality, considering its conduct and performance over the years, the ups and downs, the minuses and pluses and things. But if we have to be honest, it got to a stage 2, we got a deeper insight into some of the inadequacies of the EC. And it was worried that this is almost a world-acclaimed referee of elections. And certain very simple, basic, elementary things were being exposed. And it didn't help. I think we should accept those things in good faith, move on to rectify them. But some were embarrassing, to be honest with you.
And those observations led to the recommendations that the judges had to make.
That's right. So
Atuba spoke about what we may want to call sanitize the process, even the ballot paper.
Yes. And then when it came to some of the procurement issues, where you got the pin sheets printed, when, how many, you could see that the administration also had issues. It helps all of us to move on. The 49-3, for me, it was a key area. The signature or non-signature of a presiding officer, relative to the outcome of an election, the validity. I read the arguments, the rulings across the divide. I still think that it means we should take another look at Article 49.3 as we move forward. So it brought up issues, and it has helped us. At the end of the day, those who lost gracefully said, yes, we accept the decision, but we disagree. That was huge value addition to our democratic culture.
Right.
Yes.
Let me just say this. I've got some friends who are beginning to raise issues. They are saying, but where is the MPP's representative? I'm sorry, the MPP's representative is late. It is not that we have deliberately paneled the team without the MPP's representation. It never happens on this show.
Yeah, I'll just...
Is it late or is it
not? I don't know. For now, I can say he's late because I don't have any word from my production saying that the MPP is not being represented.
Yeah, but just a quick one on that. I don't see my presence here as representing NDC either. I thought that this is an open platform.
No, but you can't take that one too away. You can isolate. You can isolate it.
I know, but
particularly when you were the spokesperson,
right? Spokesperson for the legal matter. I think that back to the point. I think one of the interesting things developing. Going on, what was said grounding the petition, you see, and what people are now some of them are saying today in relation to reforms within their own party. I think that there's a slot here for it. We'll come to that.
The NPP2 is doing something. I wish
exactly.
I had the NPP's representative to speak to us about
the analysis that they are doing about why they lost. For me, I sit back and then watch it, where they say we could have gained more if we had.
Let's get a bit of the specifics. Yes. The NDC. I heard Jose Seydou Nketia talk about a setting system. Some biometric system that you were looking at getting to. What exactly is it about? Specifics, yes.
No, I think it's ongoing. There's a preparatory stage. Some analysis is being done.
Biometric registration of your members.
Of members.
For your own internal elections.
Exactly. You know, in some other jurisdiction, they can tell you that there are, say, 2 million members of the Conservative Party registered and known.
Right.
In this country, everybody is NDC. Everybody is MPP. As and when it suits them, they pop up. People are misconducting themselves. They say, then you see some headlines.
That's only a part, but that is greatly an internal organization.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about the real deal, the big deal, the election itself. What are the things that the NDC is doing practically to avoid some of the complaints that we have had?
Well, I don't know. Our committee, actually, I'm chairing the committee.
Quality of polling station officers, all of those people.
Yes, I think that what our committee is being called upon to do is to examine the entire election processes. And there's a committee that they're doing that work. I don't think we can tell you now what they are doing.
But I can tell you that yesterday, the directorate, the election directorate, were returning from home.
Yes.
Apparently, they had gone there to, educate the polling agents there, and then the election directorate also there. So there is this crisscrossing of the country to try to beef up the skills of our electorate, the electoral system. That's the directorate. So we are not sitting aloof. There's also this issue of trying to ensure that every member is biometrically registered, so that you know by the click of a button, you'll be able to tell how many members the NDC has.
Yeah.
That, going forward, is good for the party because, like Nana said, you just have an amorphous situation where everybody says that he's an NDC. I also know that at the IEA meeting, we propose to the EC that they need to ensure that the biometric verification machine are available to all polling stations. We also indicated that we need to go through the biometric verification. Everybody must go through the system. And so the NDC has put forward some proposals, which when the EC adopts, would help in the...
Okay, we wanted to make an intervention.
Well, I said there was another aspect of the proceedings. For me, that's a personal opinion. That was a low point. This whole animal contempt.
And my question to you about the contempt really is that, is it your position that the invocation of the contempt powers of the court to punish for contempt sort of, cowered people, or has it done any damage to journalists in their limiting their freeness to report matters in court?
Fortunately, we've had such vibrancy in our media culture and freedom of speech generally, which goes beyond the media, to the extent that what happened has not been able to kill it. The spirit, the vigor that we all have.
Has not been able to, like Jerry Rawlings would say, subjugate
no, it hasn't.
The spirit of the journalist.
It didn't. It had the potential if it had continued. But that was not why was not my problem. I just think that it was avoidable. I think the court could have concentrated, focused on the issues, and ignored the ugly noises.
Some say it was good. It brought some sanity.
Yeah, but that's for sure.
I'm not too sure about that. Post-verdict, we haven't seen any such check. So are we talking of just achieving that result within the context of when the proceedings was underway? Is that what we're seeking to do? To be honest, we still know, even among you lawyers, there's still a debate as to whether this whole contempt thing is well structured and well formulated. But I am saying that was a low point. At the end of the day, when it came to the General Secretary of the NPP.
Yes.
That was.
Could you also free
Yes.
John?
You saw what happened? Before him, some people had been jailed.
Yeah.
3
got
days,
a
10 days.
birthday gifts.
Yes. So there was an anticlimactic aspect of it, or a certain element of unfairness, lack of equity. You couldn't deal with the thing with an even-handed approach. And that for me was the bottom line. That this whole
But that's
thing,
the discretion of the court.
I
That's
know,
how the court
I
works.
know, but
it's
that's-
got a discretion to exercise.
No, yes, I know that. I must concede to that. But out there, for the public, they thought there was a certain lack of equity. And it was so clear. And in any case, we all know, before then, just before the General Secretary appeared, and I'm not saying I wasn't happy he was freed, at least not giving custodial sentence, because I'm opposed to custodial sentence in principle relative to contempt. That's my position. So if he was not giving custodial sentence,
Right.
I should be happy
But
with
just
it.
on the
But the point I'm
contempt,
making
let
is
me
that,
finish.
see,
Yeah.
I think going forward, we should allow people to talk, even when the cases are ongoing in court. The fact that we brought in live telecast itself changed the dynamics of the issue. And so I was expecting the court to have appreciated the fact that once this is live broadcast, live telecast, the boundaries, the frontiers of expression relative to the thing, some could be injurious to the court's reputation. At the end of the day, they also made us see that even our judges are human, and that they also have a certain level of temperament that sometimes can get out of hand. We did see that.
Yeah. Okay, I wanted to ask that. There are those who sincerely feel, like Kuku had just expressed, that even though the fear of contempt was invoked, and it appears that commentators and journalists have so soon forgotten that you cannot scandalize the courts the way in anyhow, just get up and scandalize the court and continue to feel that they have a right to speech that has no limitations or responsibilities. But that what happened, has not solved anything really.
There's contempt even after the court proceedings.
Right.
But people don't know that. People think that once the court case has ended, then you can say anything that you want. You can be dragged, you can be sent to court for scandalizing the court, even when the matter comes to an end. But the whole idea about contempt is that, and I'm trying to address Kuku's seeming reference to inequality in terms of how contemnors were.
He's talking about the public perception.
No, yeah, okay. So about how the contemnors were treated. When you are cited for contempt, what the court is saying is that you've sinned against it. So come and purge your sins. So when you get to court, you don't try to justify. You see, that's why when Ken Kranti was asking, is this a charge sheet? Is this what and what? That's not the time to be asking those questions. At that point, it is strict liability. At that point, you have been told that this is your sin. Now, come and purge your sins.
So
not come and justify what you said.
The chamber of mercy.
So, if
that what it is?
you have
Not
a
justice.
lawyer who goes to court and tries to purge the sins, the outcome from that court will be different from if you have a lawyer who goes there to justify the sins that you committed. So that may inform the decision to give some people some lighter sentence if you want, and others a harsher sentence.
But strictly speaking, was it right that you go to appeal to the sentiments of judges,
right,
and that wins a case?
Right.
Is that really right?
No, there are some who hail Atacha for what he stood for. That place, the Supreme Court, is not a mercy chamber. It is supposed to be a chamber of justice. So you don't expect that someone has done something, contempt ex facial curia is not actually in the face of the court, right in your face, and the person is brought before you, and questions also have been raised about, natural justice. These are the same judges who have become judges in their own cause. Why is that supposed to be so?
Well, I'm not, me, I'm not afraid to mention it, but clearly, you've mentioned Mr. Atacha. We went to school together. I decided I think it was wrong. As a practitioner, he had one business, only one business that day, to get his client out. not to go and justify anything. You understand?
You're questioning the status quo.
I'm telling you that day, I don't want to go into the detail. We were all there. We were all contributing to get Kankrache out. You understand? You know, ours is a profession. Well, that's the kind of thing you must understand. It's a profession. You have the duty, the task, and an obligation to get your client out. How you get it out? The theoretical aspect of it, there will be time for it. You understand? So if you're doing the evaluation, fine. I support the right to comment when a case is going on. We've brought a case at the Supreme Court before, backing Mr. Chachuchikata. You know, remember? And then the former bar president who was removed. You know, Neil Summers. We brought an action. You get me? Because I think that our judges are strong enough to be able to brush aside, you know, comments which are made, you know, by non-lawyers or outside the court, you know, to be able to say, let the heavens fall down. We'll convict you. You are convicted. You understand? So I think that the modern trend in what do you call it, in our law is to allow comment to come on. But it does not also extend to scandalizing the court. Just looking at a judge and running the judge down, saying that the judge has collected money to, you know, as he's sitting down there. You can't say that and say it's freedom of speech.
All right.
And I don't think that people like people like Kwaku were intimidated even for 1 second,
right?
By the contempt proceedings. He says so.
Thank you. I'll take some of your text messages here, and this one says, "Hi, Samson. That's Kojo in the UK. He says, please tell Nana an unsigned electoral result is valid in Ghana. That is one of the lessons. In the UK, application form for a job which is unsigned is even sent back as invalid to the applicant. We are retrogressing as a nation." And this is where I say some of us are not reading the judgment. He didn't say so. Samuel Brian Boabing says, "Counsel, I don't see the reason why if someone is keeping your money for you, there is no reason for you to call for accountability from that person. The course questioning is that can you call on that person, question that person's investment? If you put your money in a bank and you don't want the way they are going about their investment, go and take your money and go away." That's what the court is saying. This one says, "Samson, our law should be tested, and once that, you know, is done, that makes sense will change. Tell Nana to give us a break. When judges in Ghana cannot define overvoting, which has made a mockery of the Ghana judiciary system. Ghana is a failed state." Okay, this one is from London. Benjamin. Okay, you are sending on Waterville, Wyoming. We'll get to those matters shortly. I suppose we will do so. Harris Musa says, "Samson, can I also sue organized labor for asking that the deal should be stopped because I feel the deal should be stopped because I feel the deal is good? How? Did the organized labor seek my consent before asking the deal to be stopped?" Okay, go and ask your lawyer. Kofi Sika says, "People were equally disappointed when Jake won his case in contempt of court of jurisdiction, but okay, sorry, I don't get that point. I don't remember Jake winning a case of contempt in court." This one says, Yamusa in Kumbungu says, "This petition was historic. It, however, did not serve any useful purpose. The highest court of the land, though, did well by scrutinizing the election petition, ended by not actually applying the law. My only worry going forward is that 2016 elections will definitely be brutal, since no citizen will waste his time going to court." Okay, I'm unable to continue with your messages. I think they are not in good taste. They don't promote what we seek to promote in this country. I'm sorry about that. Sam, if Senate cannot even, this is from Bediako Faude in Kumasi. It says, if Senate cannot even break even in the banking industry here in Ghana, where some players could make 100% profit, what other sector does it wish to invest the poor contributors 90 million Ghana cedis when it receives the payoff check from Fortis? I operated 2 accounts at Merchant to help projects my investment because I am a Senate contributor and I think I have locus to questioning people who invest my contribution. Right. So let's see what the Court of Appeal will say, because this matter is not over. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back. Thank you very much. You're welcome back. This is Newsfile on Joy 99.7 FM. You're watching us on TV. This is your Joy News channel on multi-TV. And thankfully, we have Gabi Asari Otri Dako, the man who took his passports. I met him at the international departure, so right after the announcement was made that if you couldn't stand the heat in the kitchen, go away. I met him there, and I thought he wasn't going to come back anytime soon. He's here. Gabi, thank you very much. I understand that there was some miscommunication between the communication team, but thankfully you have saved the situation. Thank you very much for coming, Gabi.
Thank you. Yes, how did Saddam even know I was in town? I was trying to come in quietly.
That's strange, really. But, you know, Saddam has his antennas all over. Like Abdul Malik has his cameras everywhere. Now, I tell you about the Riverman Festival of Plays presents 5 plays over 5 days to celebrate 5 years of Uncle Ebu White's original plays. It's 5 in 5 at 5. What's My Name on the 28th of December 2013. The Last Flight on the 29th. The Day Dad Came on 1st January. Apartment N1. I watched it. I loved it. And that one is on the 4th of January. And Men Run, Women Cry. That's on the 5th. You need to watch it. You might cry. Now, that's going to happen at the National Theatre, and it's 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. each day. The rate is 50 Ghana cedis per play and 200 for all the 5 plays. That's good. Please take advantage of this and enjoy all of it. You can get some of the tickets at a lot of outlets, Shell Shop at Airport, Community 11, at Chimota, Sakaman, Joy FM, Bachona Total, Frankie's, Osu, Jane Ann Supermarket, or you can log on to rivermanproductions.com and make your reservation and queries. The hotline, it's 30118 or 054-835-3216 or 0302-233-037. A Riverman Festival of Plays ticket makes the best Christmas gift that you can give anybody. So please grab one and let's enjoy it. I tell you also about Errata Motors, the best vehicles at the best prices. Their numbers to call are 0244-445-268 or 0277-486-800. Errata Motors is located at Lagos Avenue, opposite Body Talk, near GT Bank, East Legon. So call them and get the best vehicle deals that you can get. Brand new or slightly used. Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, Infiniti, Range Rover, you name them. Errata Motors has them all for you. And Star Assurance wants to appreciate you for making them the superior insurance, company in this country. They won the CIMG General Insurance Company of the Year 2012, and they dedicate all of that to you and commit themselves to offer you cutting-edge insurance policies that give you peace of mind and power to achieve your set goals. They work to protect your properties and businesses when the unexpected happens. So they have branches all over the country, and you can contact them on 0302-240-632 or contact them at starassurance.com. Star Assurance is your CIMG Insurance Company of the Year 2012, and that certainly is your solid partner. And we are refreshed, and I'm feeling energetic because I am sipping something here. That's Lipton tea, inspiration flowing from nature. And of course, MTN wants you to know that they continue to have very good packages for you. And imagine sending money from the comfort of your home or office to your loved ones this Christmas and receiving free airtime or gift vouchers. This Christmas, MTN Mobile Money is giving you a chance to send and receive smiles from your friends and family. To be part of this exciting offer, just send 100 Ghana cedis or more from your wallet to the wallet of your friends or family and receive 10 Ghana cedis free airtime. Customers who send 500 or more will receive 50 Ghana cedis gift voucher in addition to 10 Ghana cedis free airtime. The offer is also open to customers who receive 10 Ghana cedis or more from abroad through MTN Mobile Money. Register for MTN Mobile Money at any of the MTN outlets or MTN Mobile Money merchant points with a valid ID. Connect with MTN Mobile Money this Christmas and send smiles home. The promotion ends on the 5th of January and the terms and conditions apply. Please make sure you are activating MTN Mobile Money. It's safe, it's secure, it's convenient. Welcome to a new world. And once again, just grab the mirror. It's always out on Fridays, and on the occasion of their 60th anniversary, they are giving you fantastic offers. So just go to any stand, newspaper stand, and pick your mirror and enjoy the experience. I can tell you that there are hundreds of messages that are expressing disgust at the ruling that dislodged Andrew Awuni as a contributor, having the locus to question the investment decision of the Senate. This one from Kweku says, elsewhere in the world, we have seen some pension funds going bankrupt. Are we being told that as contributors, we should sit back and wait till Senate goes bankrupt through bad investment decisions? If politically tainted trustees decide to hear no evil, see no evil, that is bad. And there are quite a lot more of those that we have moved on, and I don't want to continue to share those messages. I'll hear Gabi briefly on that and briefly on the election petition, and we'll move on to the issues of the twin judgment debts that Martin Amidu single-handedly won the cash for us in the Supreme Court, and also talk about Jida, Sada, Suba, which is the other bar? Gabi. Merchant Bank. You as a contributor or beneficiary, you don't have the locus to question their investment decisions in court.
According to the law.
Well, according to an interpretation of the law.
Of the law.
According to an interpretation
of the law.
Yes, we agree of the law. Interpretation of the law. I mean, it's mind-boggling, really. I mean, the law, first of all, is supposed to operate on the principle of common sense. That's, I think, is the basic principle of law. Now, so let's ask ourselves, if Professor Kosa and others can have locus to question Vodafone agreement, which had absolutely nothing to do with a fiduciary duty. Okay? Vodafone, government owned, okay, it's been privatized.
It's a class action.
I'm coming. Whether it's a class action stems from what? That the individuals involved have locus.
The court says a sole contributor.
No, but I'm saying that class action, I don't need to be part of a class action in order to have locus. The class action is just to save time, so all of us are going together. Okay? But individually, they all have locus.
You said this doesn't make common sense. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It defies common sense. Because you're also saying, I mean, look, the Jake matter, which went all the way to the Supreme Court, I'm talking about the Bangalore. Did they have locus? Did Akujetu Ablakwa, did he have locus?
They went and, is it article?
But I'm saying, did they have, no, I'm just saying, no, I'm looking at common sense. This is how you have to look at it. Did they have locus? You know, so really, that to me, it's how the law must operate. In terms of the
Koku, in this matter also, the plaintiff, Andrew Awuni, also invoked the constitutional,
296.
296 about discretionary exercise of power.
Right.
And the court says we cannot see how discretion has been exercised
wrongly,
wrongly against you. So please get off.
Yeah. So, but clearly, it's a court of first instance. Yeah. So this shouldn't be the end of the matter. But I think it's really a serious matter. And on my way here. Well, I didn't know I was on my way here. But I had a discussion in a sense that what if, I think it was Kweku who made the point, what if those who've been entrusted with the fiduciary duty, if you like, what if they fail? Then what do you have as a
there's a remedy in the law?
Okay. You know, so these are, and there's a remedy in the law, and the remedy says you can't go to court. Is that the remedy?
Because the basis says that interest is already protected.
It's protected by who?
It's protected by Auditor General, by
no, the Auditor General is after the fact. Auditor General is after the fact.
By the time Parliament comes,
absolutely,
the deal is
by
done.
the time Parliament and all of them come in, it's after the fact. They protect your interest when a decision has been made. But this is a decision that once it's made, you don't have a choice because it's already been made. So really, I think, like I said, it's really just court of first instance.
But you understand as a lawyer that you are invoking a fiduciary obligation as regards a trustee from common law.
Okay.
But this is where you have a statute that limits that right.
My understanding of the statute is not that it limits that right. I'm not too sure.
But the statute can override common law can be used to overstep.
I mean, is
that what you're saying?
It's clearly a gap.
Okay.
I mean, there's clearly a gap.
Okay.
The fact that because in the law, the statute says that the Auditor General and the rest of them protect your interest, but that interest is ex post facto. It's an interest after the decision has been made. So, meaning there's a gap in the law.
There's a lacuna. So you want it addressed.
And common law can take care of that. So, really.
Let's move on. We have had this debate. Gabi, you're just having your take. Let's go to the election petition. 8 months of the whole nation going through Law 101 sort of school. I don't know how much people have learned, but what are the lessons?
I think the lessons, to me, there's something that I don't think we have actually looked at it, which is that there were over 20 election petitions, parliamentary election petitions. As soon as the Supreme Court gave its decision, all of them were pulled out of court. Now, the question that we have to ask ourselves, what does that mean? To me, it's a serious matter, because it can be easily interpreted to mean that they have lost confidence in the court. It could easily mean, because really, these are cases in court, but as soon as the court decided, you pull out. So, you are looking at a situation where, in 2016, because I heard my senior saying that at least now we know we can go to court rather than going to the street.
It could also be a strategy to avoid embarrassment, because the apex court has decided that these votes, some of which you are going to contest in the parliamentary level, are sacrosanct, so to speak.
Yeah, but I'm saying
they are not tainted.
No, but if you look, of course, I mean, if you are trying to make sense out of what the apex court said, and it's very difficult to make sense out of it, but you can struggle. And if you try and make sense out of it, they create an impression where they deny the petitioner's majority. They create an impression that there were not enough votes. So in that sense, if you have an election petition about a parliamentary election and you have enough votes, you can still go ahead, doesn't it? But clearly all the cases were withdrawn. So what does that mean? It means, as I said, that in 2016, unlike what Monsignor on my right said, that it means that we can go to court rather than the streets, you are very likely not to have anybody entertaining the option of going to court. So how do we prevent a Kenyan situation? Because Kenyans also have lost confidence in the judiciary. How do we prevent that? I think we should make sure that whatever electoral reforms that we need to undertake, even if it means compiling a new register, let's go ahead and get those things done so that we can avoid a situation where we need to go to court. And I think those are the things that I mean, to me, those are the lessons that I can get from it.
Who is to blame for that mass that may not understand and have confidence in the court? Is it not the loser in the elections who says that this verdict is wrong?
To me, the loser is the judiciary. And I've said it before. This case, to me, is worse than Riakoto. The decision in this case is worse than Riakoto. The loser in this case is the judiciary. But let's not let, if like the mistakes of the judiciary be what undermines or threatens our democracy. So what do we have to do? We have to undertake the necessary electoral reforms. Let's all come together.
Right.
Let's not play politics about it.
No.
And make sure that in 2016, there will be no reason.
Gentlemen,
No,
we have to move on.
He's gone into an area.
No,
that has scared controversy.
He's made some outstanding
outrageous statements.
Outrageous. Which
But you made yours.
No.
But we didn't go
He
there.
wasn't here.
We didn't go that way.
No,
and challenge yours.
Sir, the fundamental.
The seat is talking about, the parliamentary seat is talking about, I am handling one at the Bolga High Court. You know about that.
Yeah.
Now, these
withdrawn yours.
No, wait. These parliamentary petitions that are all over the country are founded on the same facts.
Exactly.
Like the Supreme Court. In fact, it's a template. They lifted the Supreme Court and dumped it in the parliamentary. So, if the Supreme Court has ruled that was it's not about lack of confidence. It is about the fact that
taking a cue from the Supreme Court.
it's not about lack of confidence on the judiciary.
Precedent.
You know that lower courts takes their inspiration from the higher courts,
Binding,
and the Supreme is binding. So if the Supreme Court has indicated that overvoting is not what you have claimed.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is that what they said?
I'm saying that if Supreme Court says that,
is that what they said?
I'm giving you an
said
example.
there's not enough votes.
Exactly. Good. So let's assume that.
So those are facts.
Your parliamentary suit is fashioned in the same way
but
like a presidential petition.
Okay.
So in that case,
in that case, is it a fact that you
the
have
High
enough
Court
voting?
would kick you out, just like the Supreme Court kicked you out. It's not about lack of confidence.
No, if you just permit me, I will make only one sentence.
Your name means that when things are going wrong, you step in and you sort things
just
out.
one
So
sentence.
end there.
Sir, one sentence. I mean, theoretically, I just want to correct this.
Please do.
That law is not, I'm sorry, but law is not about common sense.
It's not.
Law is about sense.
Nana, are you saying that's your opinion or you are correcting?
No, I'm
because
saying.
Law obviously ought to be common sense.
No, please. I'm saying law is about law.
Yes.
Now there's a law, there's a statute. It may defy common sense.
Yes.
It may be irrational. It may be whatever it is. When you come to interpretation, you understand. You interpret it according to certain format, that we know. We use some rules and we go about. The conclusion may sound not sensible, irrational. Now, the law creates, within the framework, it creates an avenue for dealing with this. Where they say there's a gap or the thing doesn't make sense, what you do is you go for an amendment of the law. But you don't opt for what you claim to be the common sense to be to come in place of the law itself.
Thank you very much.
You understand?
Thank you very much.
So I disagree with him when he always comes to his common sense.
Thank you very much.
Who's common sense?
Gabi, in 3 minutes, I almost forgot to ask you this also. A direct one. In the NPP, what are the steps that are being taken to avoid getting to the stage we got to?
Yeah. Well, I think the question should be directed to the nation. But since you mentioned...
I have said I've spoken to the EC. Okay. They have their steps that they're going to take aggressively in 2014. The NDC, we are told about what they are doing internally. Yeah. The NPP to what are you doing?
Well, I think what they're doing internally, it's what everybody else is doing. In a sense that I think by and large, it's
he's been away, but he's been in the country.
But really, what it is that you need to. I mean, it's quite clear to me. One of the positives from this is that the whole nation has been educated as to what to expect at the polling station, what you expect from your presiding officer, from your own agent, and the rest of it. That to me was one of the major positives of this, and the parties themselves have to beef up their training and the rest of it. But more importantly, the reforms. And I think that the MPP should not relent in pushing for whatever reforms that they find necessary in order to ensure that we have a peaceful, free and fair elections in 2016. They should not relent.
Right.
Whatever it takes, they should make sure they push for it. And really, I think donors and governments, TECPE in particular, should not put the issue of budget in the way.
And of
let's
course,
make sure that...
And of course, Nana Akufo-Addo's acceptance, solid demonstration of statesmanship. Right?
Yes, that is it. But
unanimous.
Acceptance of the law, not of common sense. He accepted the law that this is the legal position. The court has come to a decision. I accept it, even though I disagree with it, even though it may not make sense to me. You get me?
So that's leadership.
Okay, that's why I'm saying that any attempt to run down the judiciary as though what they did, or the decision they came is contrary to common sense, is going on. You are undermining the democratic process.
Okay, gentlemen, let's move on at this point. Let's move on.
Questioning the judiciary undermines the
exactly,
democratic.
and then filing a petition over girl
Thank you.
also takes away democracy. We'll get there. We haven't got him there. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, there's
the judiciary is not above criticism.
It's not.
Okay. Now, Divine wants to say that, Gabi, you are bastardizing the judiciary because it did not go in your favor. If it did, you would not have lost faith in the court.
I didn't say I lost faith. I said what is happening can be taken as an indication.
Frank Asari Anderson Jr. says that in light of the raging controversies, it may be prudent for merchant bank to undertake full disclosure in the interest of good governance and transparency. Both buyer and seller may have agreed to some confidentiality clauses, but the long-term public perception and reputation is crucial for future success of the bank. U-turn of organized labor is extremely embarrassing. What due diligence did they do before sanctioning the deal? Thank you very much. And this is where we now move on to the questions of judgment debts and court orders for retrieval of monies and the matters arising from JIDA and so on. Before the verdict of the Supreme Petition, sacked Attorney General, citizen vigilante Martin Alamisi Amidu, he picked a crusade to continue the fight for which he lost his job. He got 2 sweet victories to get cash for the government that pushed him out of the boats of the state. The Supreme Court on the 14th of June declared setting to agreement for rehabilitation of stadia of the 26th of April 2006 as inoperative and unenforceable, and that Ghana did not owe Waterville Holdings 47 million plus euros paid to it, and asked that government recovers the money with interest. On the 21st of June, same court declared yet another 2 judgment agreements for solar-powered water pumping, irrigation, whatever systems in rural areas, and solar electrification, null and void, and ordered recovery of the nearly 400,000 USD paid to Isophoton SA of Spain, both obtained as judgment debts. Well, a little after a month, on the 30th of July and 22nd of August, Dominic Ayene's, who we are talking to right now, who is on the phone, who is Dr. Dominic Ayene, is a Deputy Attorney General. His outfits, under the directions of Marietta Brew Apia Opon, who is Attorney General, filed writs in the court to recover these monies. Where are the monies? Dr. Dominic Ayene, good morning and welcome to Newsfile.
Good morning, Samson, and good morning to your August panel.
I've heard you say that you and your boss, you are running the government chambers like you did for your vibrant private firms. Have you got these monies?
That's a very interesting question. But before I answer the question, I must commend your panel because I enjoyed the discussion very well in terms of the legalities and the constitutional issues and the political context of litigation and so on.
Right.
The issue of common sense versus law was particularly interesting, listening to Nana Atodazi and listening to Gabi Ochredakwen and so on. But they just reminded me of my formative years as a law student.
Okay.
And the question of what is the relationship between logic and experience when it comes to law. Particularly the saying, the oft-quoted saying of Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes.
Right.
To the effect that the life of the law has not been logic but experience.
Right.
I think that should guide us in terms of the way forward regarding the reforms that must be effected so that we avoid the kind of situation that we found ourselves during the aftermath of the 2012 election.
Thank you.
So we have to be guided by that.
Thank you. I am holding in my hand here two writs. One filed on the 30th of July 2013, another filed on the 22nd of August 2013. One Attorney General versus Waterville Holdings, and one Attorney General versus Isophyton SA of Montalban. Yes, you were going to collect monies. You have stated them clearly in the rate. And my question is, where are the monies?
Okay. As I said, thanks for the question. But as a lawyer yourself, you do very well know that having instituted proceedings before the High Court, we have to abide by the rules of the court. In the case of Waterville, the case is before the Commercial High Court, the High Court Commercial Division.
Right.
And you would know, for instance, that Mr. Piesu Bodu, who is the lawyer for Waterville, did come to court with a preliminary issue.
Right.
He brought, an application for stay of proceeding pending referral to arbitration under the Alternative Dispute Resolution Act. And his argument is simply that the agreement that was the basis of Honorable Martin Amidu's action in the Supreme Court contained an arbitration clause that mandated that in the event of any dispute between Waterville and the government of Ghana, the matter must be referred to arbitration, and the seat of arbitration is the International Chamber of Commerce, London. So his argument was a very simple one, that we were bound by that arbitration clause to refer the matter, to stay the proceedings in the High Court and refer the matter to arbitration.
Right.
And he sought to argue that the arbitration clause is severable. In other words, it's independent of the main contract, and it survives the main contract. And so, on account of that, we had to refer the High Court, was bound to stay proceedings and refer the matter to arbitration. Now, our response was very simple. It was that the arbitration clause could not survive the deadly blow that was dealt to the agreement itself by the Supreme Court.
Right.
The Supreme Court declared the agreement in its entirety null and void and of no effect. In law, what that means is that the agreement would be deemed not to have existed.
Correct.
And therefore, if the agreement is deemed not to have existed, a clause arising out of the agreement
cannot be depended on.
It is deemed to be independent of that agreement. That is only for the legal technical reason of saying that disputes are the referral to arbitration is separable from the main terms and conditions of the contract, but it cannot survive constitutional nullification. Our second argument was also that if we refer this matter to arbitration, what it will mean in effect is that the judgment of the Supreme Court will now be examined by the arbitrators, the panel of arbitrators, and they will now have to say whether or not the order to recover 47 million is, in other words, they will now determine whether or not we are entitled to the 47 million.
Right.
And for us, that is a no-go area because the Supreme Court, as the apex court, has already pronounced that we are entitled to it.
Right.
So there's no reason why we should subject that judgment to international arbitration.
So where are we now?
Okay, good. So the High Court upheld our argument in that case. And then the lawyers for Waterville are now before the Court of Appeal. So we went to the Court of Appeal last week, and unfortunately I was tied up in Parliament and I wasn't there myself. But, the court agenda is Senate, and, will issue a hearing notice for us to, come back to court and then deal with the matter of whether or not their appeal is, has any merit.
Okay.
As far as Isophyton is concerned, we have encountered problems with service. We thought that we had information that they had local agents upon whom service could be effected. bailiffs tried their best, to effect service, but service, they could not find anybody to say.
You had information, or it's a matter of fact? Because we know one Anania J, who throughout has been speaking and acting for and on behalf of Isophoton.
Well, I can tell you on record that Anania J refuses to receive service because he said he was no longer the agent of the company.
All right.
So now we have to effect service out of the jurisdiction, and that is what we are preparing. We are about to do.
Okay. So yes. What should we look up to?
So in direct answer to your question, something, the money has not yet hit the consolidated account.
Right. How soon can we expect? I know that you cannot railroad the judicial process, but how soon? What are your expectations, timelines?
In terms of timelines, I believe that the Court of Appeal will take us maybe a maximum of, let's say, a maximum of 2 months. You know how these things work, and I believe that PSWD is not going to rest there, even if our argument were upheld.
2 months can become 2 years,
No, they will not become 2 years.
Okay.
Something. As I said, and you quoted me, we are dealing with matters as if we were private practitioners seeking to collect money for our clients and take out our 10%.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
In this case, we won't take 10%.
Kwekubako has a question for you, briefly.
Okay, sir.
Yes, good day, sir. I have a copy of the ruling, the 6th day of, is it 6th November 2013. The ruling, the dismissal of the application for stay of proceedings.
Yes, sir.
And on page 2, there's a certain paragraph that confuses me. I only need information and education, if you like.
Okay.
It says the plaintiff, in this case that's the Attorney General, has not come to court applying for an enforcement of a Supreme Court judgment. The plaintiff has issued a fresh action in which its claims were for the recovery of the sum of 47.so million euro together with interest.
Yes.
I'm confused. The plaintiff here is the Attorney General, isn't it?
Yes.
And we are being told that you had not come to court applying for an enforcement of a Supreme Court judgment, but you had issued a fresh action. I just want you to reconcile the two. It's just because I'm coming from a position of...
Kwekubako, you are right. Kwekubako, you are right. I think the judge is trying to draw a distinction between a situation where we come to the High Court with writ of execution in order to enforce a judgment of the Supreme Court directly in our favor, okay, which is a different procedure altogether. When you are the person who has obtained the judgment from the Supreme Court in your favor and you want to go into execution. Am I making myself clear?
Well, I'm trying to understand.
Okay. Yes, because
so
he's asking. He's asking.
Yes.
You can get his sense, which I think that many people will also think. You already have a judgment. Why don't you just go to the court and say enforce this judgment?
No.
That's the question.
Something you see. We did not go to the Supreme Court.
That's a distinction you are making.
That is a distinction we are making. We did not go to the Supreme Court. It was the Honorable Martin Hamidu who went to the Supreme Court. And judgment was given in his favor. Actually, when we started the enforcement process, there were two different views within the Attorney General's department. And in fact, myself and my boss, I can tell you, were divided on it. There was one view which was that let's just, enter, a judgment, and then go into execution, which would then have, solve the problem that Kwekubako is trying to draw our attention to, which would be that we will just enter judgment, go to the High Court, set in place the processes for execution by phase and the rest of them, garnishee orders and so on, and then retrieve the monies. Okay? But then there was a second view which prevailed, after a lot of debate and consultation, which was that, look, the judgment was not in your favor, and you did not bring the judgment. So
you were actually defendants in the case, right?
We were actually defendants in the case. So how can we then go and enter judgment? It will be odd for a defendant to enter judgment, even though there are authorities, High Court authorities to the effect that even a third party in whose favor a judgment has been given can enter, judgment and go into execution we thought that in this case it was very peculiar because of the constitutional character of the matter.
Yes.
So then we chose this, route of having a writ of summons and a statement of claim. And our strategy is very simple. The Supreme Court judgment has been pleaded. So once we have pleaded a Supreme Court judgment, when it comes to the, time in the commercial court where there's a mandatory period of pre-trial settlement and so on and so forth.
Right.
Once that time elapses, we can apply for summary judgment. But before that time, we cannot apply for summary judgment. So our intention is to apply for summary judgment and attach the Supreme Court, judgment, to our affidavit in support of the application for summary judgment.
Okay.
That is the strategy.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry that we
thanks for that education. Thanks for that education. Let's move on to another very important matter, and it is about Jida, Sada, Suba, etc. There were these. There have been these graft allegations that I would say would later threaten the very foundation of this government. The status of the investigations towards prosecution of those people who were indicted. Where are we?
Well, I can say for now that of the list of companies that are being investigated, the investigations have concluded on 2. Well, we may need to cross-check with the EOCO because they have brought us 2 dockets that have been completed, and very soon charges will be filed, against those people. In fact,
as soon as. As soon as, because those dockets are complete.
As soon as, maybe even next week, our prosecutors are, asking for more information to fill certain gaps, as far as some of the charges are concerned. So once we get that, the information, we will be, filing the charges and then we'll be in court to prosecute those. So as maybe either next week or if we during the Christmas, because of the Christmas break, we could do it early next year.
I see. In respect of the Agams group,
yes,
you have reached a deal with them for them to refund some 55 million Ghana cedis.
That is so.
What is this deal about? Ghanaians are reminding you of the law. They are saying that you don't simply ask for a refund from persons who have criminally or illegally taken your money.
Okay. Well, I think there are 2 dimensions to this issue. And I want your listening public to understand that the current request for a repayment of the 55 million is only in respect of one aspect of the transaction. That is the component that was described in the agreement as refundable loans to the 3 companies. There was a component of the payments to them that was for service provision. As far as the service provision component is concerned, we are doing an audit relating to value for money. So, for instance, if you were charging 900 Ghana cedis per person in order to train people in basket weaving, how many people did you train? Who did you train? And what is there evidence of payment being made to those people or to those people who trained them? So that in the event that we come to a conclusion that the service was not provided, you would have contravened the Financial Administration Act, and we can take you on under the provisions of that act.
Okay.
That is both the government officials who were involved in giving the money, as well as the companies that were the beneficiaries of the money. So that's about this in the service fee component. Now the 55 million, as I said, is a loan component, and that one was easier for us to deal with because of the fact that they did not straightforwardly comply, as you know, with Article 181 of the Constitution. And Article 181 has been operationalized by Section 23 of the Financial Administration Act. Section 23 requires certain things to be done, and I don't know whether we have time for the benefit of your listeners.
The sum is that there is a requirement of, is it parliamentary approval of such expenditure?
Yes, but Section 23 amplifies 186 in many respects. For instance, it requires that the president should authorize the minister, in this case, the Minister of Youth and Sports, and then with the approval of Parliament before the loan can be granted. And we know that there was no presidential authorization. We also know that the Minister for Youth and Sports did not go to Parliament for parliamentary approval.
Okay.
So in that respect, they violated the statute. And because of that, we simply wrote to the companies and we pointed out to them that they have violated, existing law, and therefore the loans have been illegally, advanced to them, and they should refund them. And they sought legal advice and came around to the conclusion that we were right, and that is how come that they have agreed to pay.
Okay. Now, we have very limited time. I wanted to ask that this is solely in respect of the Agams Group. We know that according to the report, the Judgement Group, Better Ghana, the Better Ghana and the Zoom Lion operations, you also have, they have over 141 million Ghana cedis to pay. You have Goodwill International, which has about 4 million to refund. How about them?
Okay, so we are doing this step by step. Once once we have finished with the Agams Group, we are moving on. I wouldn't tell you on air, to which of them. We are reviewing the contracts, and our state attorneys are working around the clock to be able to write letters, notices before action that are watertight, like the one that we wrote to the Agams Group.
You are reviewing the contracts. You are not abrogating them.
No. The contracts are in and of themselves null and void. I mean, we don't even have to discuss abrogation.
What's that to review?
They are null and void. They did not seek parliamentary approval, and as you know, there's ample precedent for that. Waterville and the rest of them, we don't need to go to the Supreme Court for any declaration to that effect.
All right. Thank you, but hold on 1 minute for me. Anania J. Forson, the representative of Isofoton, who is now sort of posting a disclaimer, according to you, is on the line. Mr. J. Forson, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, we understand that now you don't want to be part of this process.
It is not true.
It is not true?
I'm still the agent for Isofoton.
I see.
Nobody has served me.
Nobody has served you. Are you evading service?
I'm not evading service. They know where they can get me. In other words, if they call me to come over and take the service, I will do it.
I see.
It's not an issue of evading service.
Where can they locate you?
They know my house, where I stay. They have information about all that. But I'm saying that if they call me on phone, that come and take it, I'll come and take it.
Are you saying the minister is lying when he says that bailiffs have looked for you and they can find you?
I'm saying that nobody has served me. That is what I'm saying. But
and you are saying also that you have not dodged or evaded service. You have not been running away.
No. And then also I'm saying that I have not said that I am no more an agent for Isofoton.
I see. So you can show by some power of attorney of sorts that you really represent them?
Oh, it is on record.
Right, because of the High Court matters that you have followed throughout. Okay, thank you very much. Just hold on 1 minute. Doc, what do you say? He says he's available.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting that he is saying this, and I'm happy that he has said that. So he should expect service, early next week, because that was a report that was filed
by the bailiff. I see.
And we had no reason to disbelieve them, but the questions we're asking were right, because sometimes people will evade service. They will tell the bailiff, tell them I'm not there. Tell them I'm no longer the agent, and then it's just as a matter of delay. So now that he says that he's available for service, he should make himself available, and then we can, bring closure to this matter.
Okay.
And he should be reminded that it is an offense to say that the Deputy Attorney General is a liar. I'm just joking about that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ananiaje. And Doc.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. You're on.
Yes. Yes, I have never said that that original is a liar.
No, he's referring to me, not you. Don't worry.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Now, thank you very much. Doc, very finally, in 30 seconds, can you tell me those ministers and government officials who were involved in preparing this lopsided contracts that have been, found to be so wrong, what happens to them?
Okay, something you should take a look at Section 62 of the Financial Administration Act. That is the offense-creating section. And a public official who, either directly or indirectly facilitates the payments of money in contravention of the Act commits an offense. That is all I can say for now.
You can't say if they have also been invited by Ioko?
Something. That is all I will say for now.
Oh, I thought that would also be important if you knew, because I know some of the people who have been indicted in the JIDA matter. I represent one of them. We have been to Ioko a number of times. We've been charged and we are on bail.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm declining your invitation.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Ine, for your time.
Okay.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much indeed. It is heartwarming to learn that the Attorney General's Department, government's chambers, is now being run like a private chamber. So we'll get all the monies and all the prosecutions we want, we'll get them and they'll run as speed as we expect. I'll start with you, Gabi, on this note. What do you make of the processes so far in retrieving all of these monies?
Well, I think it's been tortuous and perhaps needlessly laborious. And because I still don't, and I'll get back to this point about the law being common sense, about this so-called argument they had at the AG's department, which way to go. There's a Supreme Court decision. The decision says that government must retrieve the money. Okay? So, in terms of retrieving the money and execution of the decision, I'm not too sure why you have to opt for a different and longer route. Unless the court is telling you that you can't go by that route. Because as far as it's because, it is really not about who the parties are. It is about what the court said. That's how I see it. It's what the court said. And the court says that the monies are owed to government, so government must be paid. So I'm not too sure why the government is taking the longer route. And if you do that, you get stuck in first gear. I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. And it creates the impression that there's no seriousness in efforts to retrieve the money. That's the way I look at it, and I think they should come back stronger.
Well, when you read the processes, right after the judgment, they go to court. It appears that they are running at a certain speed. You don't think that's good enough?
But if you take a different, longer route, because you're saying that there are two options. There's the option that we are all familiar with, and that option really it is as if you go to court, and then it's said that, look, this is what happens. 3 people are rather owed money, and 2 of them are in court, and I'm not in court, so I can't go and claim the money that the court says I'm owed.
Nana, it's a matter of opinion and strategy. It's not wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that
I don't understand why you are taking the longer route.
My very good friend and brother Gabi occasionally gets on the emotional line.
Emotions.
Absolutely. I'll tell you something. You have to work in government to understand how government works and some of these processes.
No, they are working as a private chambers. They are not working as a government chambers.
But it's still government. But also in a law firm, in a serious-minded law firm, when you have a case, you sit down, you call all the lawyers, capable lawyers, and then they put forward views. Is that not it? And you weigh so many options. The Supreme Court might have made some comments. Yeah. I mean, what is the effect of what they would have said? Are they just mere dicta or orders or whatnot? You see, but when you go back to the enforcement, back at the High Court, that is where you see the reality of the matters. You understand? For me, I'm only happy that the institutions at least appear to be working. And that's what we should be doing. That's what we should be commending. We can say that their pace is slow or their pace is fast. But I don't think that we should ascribe some other things to them as though they are not interested in it. Clearly, I mean, the directives they've given and all that shows that they are serious about claiming this. And I will say that as far as I'm concerned, in a serious private legal firm, you will sit down and look at all the options and choose. What he claims to be the longer route may be a more disastrous route. You understand?
You are saying may. You are saying may. You are not being emphatic. He's telling you with emphasis.
Yeah, but that is the problem. I'm saying that the problem he has is that he makes obvious decisions as though there are no other options, which exist. In all these things, there are choices. That's what I'm saying. You may go this path, and this is the conclusion. You may go this path. And the minister explained that they had these alternative choice. You get me? And then they analyze it, and they opted for it. Listen, I was a lawyer in government, working in the heart of government. We had an attorney general or attorney generals at all material times. I related to them. I'll pass the issues back to the Attorney General and defer to their opinion. Because under Article 88, the Attorney General is mandated constitutionally to be the principal legal advisor. So it's his opinion. So it's either, hold on. So I'm saying that I will in this matter defer to the opinion of the Attorney General to that of busybody like
my question is, why don't you take the obvious route? If you're blocked, then you choose another option.
Okay. Abdul Malik, what do you see? And also when you look at it, I want you to put it together with the JIDA matters. Do you find the Attorney General's department to be running, at a pace that is commendable in attempts to retrieve these monies?
I have my doubts. They're doing something. I think there have been some sparkles here and there. I remember there was a certain case, judgment dead. It slipped my memory.
Socks and something like that.
Sweaters, socks and sweaters.
Right.
I think the AG's department and the AG moved to some.
The AG herself went and
because
secured that.
We pursued that case, and I think that was a good sign. But relative to Waterville and Asophoton, I think there's been a certain sluggishness, even though now there's evidence to the effect that they are working, and we are told that the matter is at the Court of Appeal. So it's difficult for them to preempt. They have to go by the legal processes. So it's a 50-50 situation, But out there, for Ghanaians, people are apprehensive because they are looking at the other areas, the Woyome, slightly. The prosecution appears very lax, There's huge lethargy.
You mean the other matters before the financial court?
And the AG is not dealing, we are not going to be able to assess the AG only on basis of what have you as so forth. We can't do that.
Right.
It has to be a comprehensive, composite approach. So it's a 50-50 thing. I would want them to back up more. I wouldn't want to discourage them. I wouldn't want to go out bastardizing them. But I would want to suggest to them that there's a little bit more room for improvement. That's the way I'll go about it.
Okay.
Now, coming to what happened just now, I'm sure it was a slip. He meant to say Section 62,
right,
and not 52.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I captured 62.
Is that 62?
62. Yeah.
Okay. But today, I've been looking at it, and I'm not too sure the question you posed, because I think this whole thing, there's a certain policy failure and institutional collapse that forms the foundation of all this JIDA matter. When you have manifest violation of statute and constitutional provisions, and this is coming from the policy makers, those who are in charge of the MDAs, who were signing the contracts. And you see, people tend to forget what we all say, because very early days here, we made that point
right.
about the fact that people had not done the right thing relative to the procurement law and some aspects of the Constitution. And if I read this, I'm trying, I'm not a lawyer, you guys are the lawyers, but I'm trying so hard to find out how these offenses listed here could be used to deal with any of those who really presided over the violation of those statutes and constitutional provisions.
Place to look?
Yeah, maybe, because that's where I have looked at now. If I look at 62, unless we can establish that there was indeed, no, it's a long thing.
So many.
Unless we can establish fraud between the service providers and these policy makers, unless we can establish that some corruption in terms of exchange of monies and promises and things happened, it will be difficult to use the provisions here to tackle the question you posed.
Right. And this provision, let me just read just a bit of it. This is the Financial Administration Act 2003. This is Act 654, and this is Section 62. 62.1 says that each officer or person acting in an office or employment connected with the collection, management, or disbursement of public or trust money or with the control of government stores, who A, accepts or receives money or valuable consideration for the performance of official duties, B, conspires with another person to defraud the government or makes opportunity for another person to defraud the government, C, deliberately permits the contravention of the laws by another person. And it goes on, willfully makes or signs a false entry, blah, blah.
So that's what I mean.
And you're saying that this doesn't look like...
unless you can establish that fraud jointly engaged in by
the minister or whoever was in charge.
It's going to be difficult to use this to tackle the question you posed. Because you see, there's no doubt that if communication service tax is being set up for a certain purpose, and you know where the funding, the monies from there should go, but you divert it elsewhere, does this Section 62, does it prescribe how to deal with that violation? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Let me just...
Let's hear Gabi.
Okay, why not?
First of all, the 1 billion that went into JIDA, I think the first place you have to look, was it in the budget? It wasn't in the budget. So you ask yourself, and it didn't receive any cabinet approval? There was nothing like that.
I think we have gone beyond that because they have come to the conclusion.
I'm getting to the point. In terms of those you have to look at. So first of all, why did even the finance minister sign? So the people to look at,
there's a change,
should include the finance minister.
There's a domino effect.
Absolutely.
Right?
You know, and
it's a safe. That's the point I'm making. You can't deal with them.
Absolutely.
Using Section 62.
Absolutely. You know, it's a complete abuse of public
own action paper.
And Kweku is saying so because he's saying that you may need to establish some willfulness or some conspiracy or deliberateness in signing those contracts for certain personal gain.
The government's own action paper said, and that's paragraph 2.4, lack of adequate financial management framework. See, the communication service tax, the district assembly's common fund, the road fund, the national health insurance levy are statutory, and no provisions had been made specifically for such purposes as JIDA, but were improperly allocated to JIDA without going through necessary procedures. Are you going to use Section 62 today with that? No.
And if you buy seedlings at 6 cedis, 50 pesos, do you need this?
Yeah, but
I mean, seedling, millions of them at 1 cedi, 50 pesos.
Anyway, they've all been bent. The sun is, destroyed all of them. We're going to have an audit to be able to establish which streets survived.
But that's a sweeping statement.
Right.
We have to wait for the audit. I am told of a report that is before Parliament. I haven't cited it. But we ought to look at those things. If you recall the very early days, I declined comment on that aspect because I didn't have
the information.
We need to look at the report. Shraj is investigating. Parliament is supposed to be investigating. I think that we've got to a stage where we need something substantial to inform the discussions we make.
Right.
When I come to Suba, when I get to Suba, I will give you a classic example.
Just if I may just sum up, I think that Kweku always raises really exciting questions. You know, it's basic thing. What you were telling and what the minister is saying, there are two things. You see, breaches of administrative regulations and whatnot, that's separate from criminality. You see, that is why in my case,
violation of constitutional provisions is different from administrative breaches.
Absolutely, I'm saying that
is
breaches,
why you have read the law. The law is talking about deliberateness. It's talking about willfulness. I'm saying, and you're going to establish that. That's difficult.
Yeah, but I'm saying that is why you go into the audit and you do other things, and then out of it, you do an analysis and you find out that after this, the minister or the administrative officer ought not to have done this. Now, in the worst case scenario, we'll bring you up for causing financial loss. You understand? That is it. So we must draw a distinction between what you call administrative breaches and lapses as opposed to the criminality. But within the public domain, it's like everybody who took money is a thief.
Let me take AB finally on this so that we go for a quick break.
See, I don't know why we are trying hard to connect criminality.
Yeah.
You see, something may be unconstitutional.
Yes.
But it is not
a reckless dissipation.
It's not.
But he just told us of willfully causing financial loss. It could be there.
If the minister did not go through what the provision of the constitution says, that doesn't mean that
if it led to loss,
he has caused any breach to this law.
Does it have to be this?
No, you see, no. Now you have to connect the Ministers Act to receiving monies.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. That's so
difficult. There's no need to try very hard to get him under this. And I don't see why we are doing that. So you could look at other laws.
The Deputy Attorney General mentioned this. And that's what I'm saying.
All he's looking.
Now, let's get to Gabi's point.
He didn't say that's all he's looking.
But that's
what he pointed to one.
But that's the only law he referred to.
Now, Gabi makes the point that there is one short route. And why don't you pursue that short route? And if you hit the wall, you come back.
Obvious route.
No. As lawyers, we know that the person who enforces a judgment is who? The judgment creditor. In this case, I saw photo. Martin Amidu versus Attorney General Waterville, Astro, and Agbesi Woyemi. In this case, who is the judgment creditor here? It's Martin Amidu. The point the Attorney General was saying is that they are not the judgment creditors in this case. So you cannot enforce public interest.
Martin Amidu is a judgment creditor in this matter.
No, not
who won the matter?
It's the state.
He won.
The state is not here. The state is not the one who won Martin Amidu. Martin Amidu, can you collect the money? Who went to court?
But Martin Amidu
didn't say he was saying the state should go and collect the money. Or you want Martin Amidu to go and collect the money for us?
So, you listen. Because Martin Amidu is a plaintiff here, and won the case, it is a defendant in this matter. When the Attorney General goes to enforce, in what capacity is he enforcing? As a judgment what? Creditor or debtor? As what? Tell me.
But the court says the state should get the money. He's going to
You are not even answering my question. Because you can't answer that question. That question cannot be answered. What is he enforcing as what? Judgment creditor?
The judgment.
Is he a judgment creditor or a
creditor? According to the judgment.
He's what?
According to the judgment, the state that should benefit from this.
Oh.
And he represents the state.
I think so.
He's saying there's a technical question you have to answer.
The technical question is look at the decision. What did the court say?
No.
That the state.
So if you were going the straight way, what would you say?
All the court
what would you say?
Have won.
What would you say on the title? What would you call yourself?
Oh, the court simply.
No, I'm saying the title of the case. What will it be?
Oh, it's a judgment.
But are we not seeking
But the judgment is the execution you are looking at. It's not whether.
No, but when you are going for the execution, Gabi, you know that the face of the writ or the process must show where you stand. So the Attorney General here, who is the first defendant, will now say what? He is the judgment creditor. What?
Absolutely.
Something.
No.
I'm on the floor. I raised the issue. Let me finish my point.
Finish.
Now, there is one clear way
of going
which would not generate this kind of heat that we are engaging in now. And that clear way is the option they adopted.
Okay.
You are in this country. You've heard people indicate that the Attorney General's department is incompetent. You are advising the Attorney General to go your route, hit the wall, come back, then say, haven't we said it? So I think that no, you are saying it. What is speculative about this? Haven't you been saying it? It's a symptom.
No, but I think that technical thing.
So this technicality, indeed, it was one of the reasons why we did not raise as a legal team that the president cannot be sued.
Yes.
People thought that we didn't see it. We didn't want to go there, and the Supreme Court will say that the president can be sued. And then MPP will say, NDC 0, MPP 1.
Because of strategy.
So, in this particular case, the strategy adopted by the Attorney General, for me, is right. Because if you go and you claim that there has been a judgment, and then you are coming to enforce the judgment, the other side will say, what is your locus? How are you coming in to enforce the judgment? You say public interest. Because it's a public. You said public interest matter, and that is in the public interest.
No, but
all these things are guided by procedures in court, and so the procedure must be gotten right. You cannot go and turn yourself from a defendant who has not won the judgment, and make yourself the judgment creditor when indeed the judgment did not go in your favor.
So you are saying it doesn't matter at all that the Supreme Court has made a direct order that you, the defendant in this matter, go and take the money because it belongs to you. The
step taken now. Yes. Is it also going to take that money? Is this step taken going to rather give the money to
the step that is taken? What is that? Nana has an intervention. Let's hear it.
I think that the two of you, the two friends, are making some interesting points. But yes, it is possible to you. Can I have this document? Yes, for me, I think it is possible to go by the Supreme Court judgment and then nevertheless go into execution. All that you do is you repeat this heading and just enter that in an application for the enforcement of the Supreme Court order, and then you can use this same thing and go and get it. But I still stand firmly to the position that, look, the wisdom of an Attorney General with all the legal support he has is preferable. And constitutionally,
was that wisdom that led to the judgment in the first place?
Gentlemen, hold it. Please. I want to see if this particular rule of the rules of court will solve the problem. Please. In CI 47, the High Court rules, Order 43, Rule 9. The heading is execution by or against person not being a party.
Yes.
Now, Rule 9.1 says any person not being a party to the cause or matter who obtains any order or in whose favor any order is made is entitled to enforce obedience to the order by the same process as if the person were a party.
Absolutely.
Is it resolved?
No, please relax. That's exactly what I'm saying. That you can take this judgment and then using that same title, then follow it up by saying that.
This is saying a person not being a party.
No.
But here,
how much more a person who is a party?
It is more. It doesn't.
I'm saying that
it's not a party.
It's about a party. Let's not turn the show into another courtroom. Thank you very much, gentlemen. This is Newsfile, the most authoritative news analysis show, and we are coming to you from the Multi-TV studios. This is your Joy News channel, and you're listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM and over a dozen affiliate stations across the country. You're watching us in London on ABN, the Sky channel, and also elsewhere in Europe. That's where you're watching us. Thank you very much, my guests, Abdul Malik Wekubaku Jr., Abraham Amalaba, Nana Atodazi, and Gabi Asari Ochridako, who took his passport and went out of the country not too long ago
to avoid the heat.
But is back. I am Samson Ladi.
I'm not back.
We're taking a quick break. We'll be back. But let me tell you about this discount fair. Rush to the Accra International Trade Fair Center from Wednesday the 18th to Sunday the 22nd of December. Okay, right. For the multi-TV Christmas discount fair for all your Christmas shopping needs, all shop owners, it's been extended. So all shop owners who want to participate in this Christmas discount fair to clear their stock should call 0244-344-568 or 030-2211-680. Multi-TV, just thrills. I'm told that this discount fair has been extended, so it's still available for you. You can go and participate. We'll be right back after this break.
A couple of months ago, following public outcry about some impropriety and irregularities at Jeddah, you authorized an impact assessment and review of the activities of Jeddah. Essentially, they looked at the institutional weaknesses and made recommendations as to how to deal with them.
We have categorized broadly our findings into four. One, absence of an appropriate legal, institutional, and regulatory framework to guide the operations of Jeddah. Breakdown of governance and operational structures, inadequate financial oversight and monitoring mechanisms, and four, shift in focus from the ultimate beneficiaries to other stakeholders. In spite of these challenges, the committee is convinced that the concept and objective of Jeddah remain relevant. Therefore, we have appropriate recommendations for your considerations. Methodology used included purposive sampling. This was conducted to select key stakeholders such as the past 5 ministers for youth and sports and the Auditor General, whose expert knowledge and opinion on the program was sought. In addition to that, a stratified random sampling was conducted to select beneficiaries of models to be interviewed as part of the assessment. A simple random sampling of other beneficiaries from existing contact database provided was done to complement the data collected. We visited all the 10 regions of Ghana and covered 50 districts. A minimum of 520 beneficiaries were interviewed.
The terms of reference were quite clear, and as a result of that, this report has been presented to us today. Government will go into the report and especially study your recommendations carefully. And it is our intention to review and restructure Jeddah radically based on the report that you have presented. And so we're going to look at it and to study the report, and in the next few days, weeks, begin to implement those recommendations in a very firm manner.
Thank you very much. You're welcome back. We have 1 hour more to do. Thank you very much. I had announced to you earlier that we're doing an extended edition of the show because of the review we are doing. Thank you very much indeed. Now, my guests are doing 2 minutes each, strictly 2 minutes each on the issues of the judgment, debt, and Jeddah, Suba, all of those matters. 2 minutes each. And then we move on to the presidency and its direct, involvement in the fight against corruption. Kweku?
Yeah, I would deal with Suba.
Okay.
I recall the last time we spoke on it here. If you recall, I indicated that I did not have the technical competence to evaluate either the contract or the performance that had come with the contract. But I thought there were people in this country with the requisite expertise to be able to do that. If you recall, I had a certain document with me, and it's the same document I have here. Assessment of performance indicators as stated in Article 4 of the contract, provision of service. And there was a long list of certain things that had been put in place. And my point was that all we needed to do was to check if indeed these things that had been put in place had indeed been done, and that it could be done, verified by those with the technical competence to do so. And my position on this matter has been grossly misrepresented in certain circles. Subsequent to that, the impression given is that the whole deal has been suspended because nothing, the monies were paid for, no work done, and all the rest. But you see, I've intercepted a certain document.
Once again.
That shows that it's ongoing. And you see, it's good for Ghanaians to always be given the facts so that we can interrogate them.
I like to see the document.
Yes.
And please let the camera zoom on. I like to talk whilst I
It's a document generated from within SUBA.
Okay.
Maybe they should look at the front. This is it. Is it okay?
Okay, my cameramen are filling me. Please zoom it on the document. That those who are watching would also need to see and tell themselves.
And which junction was intercepted?
As for where it gets intercepted.
but they're not doing. And you see, what I find interesting is that the project is ongoing.
Okay. Let me see.
When you say project,
the contract.
This is SUBA Info Solutions Ghana Limited, revenue before and after SUBA contract 2014 revenue collection and projections. Okay, so that's the document Abdul Malik is showing to us, which he has intercepted.
and then that the issue I'm raising here is this: there are a lot of performance indicators, which date, which was completed and all the rest. But the significant thing I find here is non-disclosure agreements have been signed between SUBA and some of the telecommunications outfits. Almost all of them, listen to this, non-disclosure agreement submission. With MTN, it says completed 14th November 2013. Not yet signed. With Airtel, completed 11th November 2013. Signature, completed by both parties. Tigo, completed by both parties. That is non-disclosure agreement signed. Glow, under consideration. Vodafone, completed by one party. I do not know which party. Expresso, completed by both parties. Now, the other thing that I find significant is that equipment delivery to the site. Here we are talking about, the amendment, the Communication Service Act. Right. The other amendment is, the amendment has been passed. So this aspect is the one that they are seeking now to connect into the telecos, the non-disclosure agreements. And then equipment delivery, Glow, they delivered their equipment to their site 20th December. You see, the point I'm making is this.
20th December, which year?
2013.
2013?
Yes. 2013.
20 of what?
December.
When is 20th December?
Yesterday.
That's when they...
Yes.
Okay.
That's what is here.
Okay.
All the dates I mentioned are
this morning.
2013.
So you're saying the talk about the suspension from the Ministry of Finance.
That is the point I am making. You see, well, I am saying that what it shows is that the contract is being performed.
It's still ongoing. That's what you want to say.
It's being performed.
Right.
And they are dealing with some of the
payments that were suspended. Or what?
No,
because that's what
there were two things.
Said. The payments had been suspended.
Yes, there were two things. You see, and you remember, first of all, it was point about 144 million had been paid for no work done. The GRA came out and said, no, we paid 77 for a certain part of the contract that had been performed.
Which is?
Called the Minister of Finance.
The revenue things is here, but I'm not interested in that because that's not where my interception goes. Okay. I made the point that the SUBA had put out some infrastructure and wanted those with technical ability to double check if indeed the infrastructure had been put in place.
Right.
It appears they've gone beyond that category and have signed non-disclosure agreements with some of the telecos. With others, they completed agreements but have not signed.
Okay.
This is evidence of the contract still being performed.
Thank you very much, Kokubako.
That's the point I'm making.
And then also talking about how government can catch these people, those who have been involved in the contracts to Suba and all of JIDA and all of that. My attention is being drawn to the Government Contracts Protection Act, 1979, AFRCD 58. And it says, among other things, just reading just a gist of it for you to get a certain impression. It says, a person who is responsible for issuing certificates for the payments of money out of public funds to contractors or any other person in respect of government contracts is jointly and severally liable with that contractor or that other person for the refund of the money so paid where he issued the certificate for payment, knowing that the work, the service has not been performed, the goods have not been supplied, or the money was not otherwise due under the contract, or recklessly, carelessly, whether the work had been done or not, the goods have been supplied or not, the money is otherwise due under the contract. So it appears that there are many ways to directly catch the people at the top who initiated and consummated this contract. So
Section 62
would not, rather than simply just going after the small boys down there.
And
that was why the question was really meant to address.
Now, Abi, 2 minutes to wrap up on the issues of the judgment debts and the JIDA matters.
Basically, I have made my submissions.
Right.
So I don't think I want.
Thank you very much for saving time. Yeah, Nana, you're done with that issue.
Yes.
Right.
I think that I also want us to remember that the mere fact that a public officer has not performed properly, does not mean that he's committed a crime. Because there's another punishment.
Now you are being pointed to a law that you don't really need to have committed any crime.
Well, really. I don't want to go too far towards that law because I have reason to believe that it was all of it that rolled into the causing financial loss in 1992, which I remember of a committee that looked at some of the laws there. But I just drawing attention that the apex point was that the political office holder.
I can assure you that this law has not been repealed.
Well, no, I'm saying that the political office holder, there are so many punishments which can be meted on. One of them is also they can be removed from office. You got me? That itself is a punishment. In fact, a whole government loses on account of a vote of no confidence by the people of the country. So it's not everything that might necessarily end up in that punitive sentences that we see.
What is the attitude going for in 2 minutes?
I mean, first of all, a country that really cares about good governance, the boss of GRA would not be in office today. A country that cares about good governance, he has absolutely no reason to be in office, because all that Kweku has read is that. Even the so-called telecoms that you supposed to...
The boss of GRA who simply witnessed the signing of the contract.
I'm just saying. He shouldn't be in office. If we're serious as a nation, he shouldn't be in office.
Yes.
On the matter of JIDA.
That one too, people say the same thing could apply. You don't need a court to take certain actions. Administratively, the president can say, look, for you having entered this contract with these people, which I can see there was no value for money, and you should have seen, get out of my boats.
We use the name.
That's what you're saying? The president should be doing such things?
No, well, what I'm saying is that there's a political
Clement Humado, for example, should not be in government at this time?
No, please, not personalize.
No, but he was in charge.
I'm just only drawing attention to
we
the
have
fact.
Someone who is deputy speaker for parliament.
No, I'm saying that.
Yes.
No, I'm saying that we shouldn't be judgmental about this. I'm saying that the president has power. Or the ultimate power to decide that you've acted wrongly,
right?
Right. But you see, the issue of fraud. I think Koku was making a point.
Okay.
That if you the criminality element, it must be proven.
Yes, no, you have made that point. Gabi, finish your
It must be proven.
Yeah. So on the matter of JIDA, Humado is there, the former finance minister. His name has not come in at all in this matter. But I can't see any serious action being taken for a good reason. Because it was all part of a political scheme. The whole JIDA project, they used the name of youth to make money and use it for their politics. So how then do you go...
I mean, that's a wild...
Oh, it's not a wild... It's a fact. So how then do you go around that? For those who implemented it, for you to make some political capital, how then do you go in
and the government is prosecuting or going after its own people that helped it to get money to fund...
It can't do it. It cannot do it.
Oh, I see.
That is the issue. Beyond that, on this Isophoton and Waterville, your Attorney General was a direct beneficiary of the judgment debt.
Oh, how?
It's law firm. The Waterville matter with all this Austro and the rest.
But that doesn't make you
a direct
beneficiary established.
Let me get there. Of course, you benefit if your firm. No, let me finish.
No,
if
you represent something professionally, you are discharging your professional duties as a lawyer. You call that direct beneficiary.
Let me get to the point.
No. But beyond this,
if I finish my point, you probably understand what I'm saying. May I finish my point?
So long as
may I finish my point?
No, you are running down a whole law firm. You must know their intervention. No, because I don't know the extent of their intervention.
No, but there's a certain point. I'm not sure if that's the direction in which can be put. But the point that at a certain stage, the law firm was actually defending Austro Invest when they knew that Austro Invest had been dissolved.
Did they know that Austro Invest had been dissolved? At what point did they back out?
It had gone bankrupt.
The instructions of their clients.
Yes, but listen, look, I think but that is it's not really part of.
All right, Gabby,
we should take judicial notice of that.
It's not fair to
let me finish.
It's important to stay to the
Let me finish my point. My point really is that the Attorney General was the cause of all these judgment debts.
Which Attorney General?
The Attorney General, as the Constitutional Office.
Which Attorney General caused this?
He's talking about the office of the Attorney General. Before judgments that were taken.
And now the court has said to you, not on your own doing, an individual citizen takes. I'm talking about that. A court has said to you, go and collect the money. And now you are going through Paga.
Okay, you have made that point. Thank you very much, Gabby. Thank you very much.
Isophoton started in 2002.
When
2001.
the judgment debt,
he said that office, the Attorney General's office. He didn't say a particular Attorney General.
Yes,
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I've got some of your messages here. And gentlemen, we'll wrap up with the correct corruption matters on this point, where the president has taken certain steps. We want to ask, are those steps sufficient demonstration of a commitment on the part of the president to fight corruption? One of his staffers will talk to us briefly on this matter. The presidency has, beyond instructions, orders and commands to IOCO and the AGs to pursue these specific cases we have been discussing, is promulgating a code of ethics for ministers and appointees. Well, Tazan, Dr. Reku Brobe says we should shred that code of ethics and trash it on the basis of what he finds to be a potential conflict of interest in the intervention in the EMP matter on the basis of principle. Well, the presidency has brought together scattered, anti-graft laws together in one document, codified. His aide, one of his the staffers, will speak to us briefly on that matter. But let me read some of your messages to you. This one says that this is Chakite Stevenson. Somebody said yesterday on Adom TV that President Mahama ruled for 3 months because we spent 8 months in court. Mm-hmm. Isn't that a funny joke? Can we move to the other issues we have discussed, please? And as Steifer says, Nanado and great MPP have taught me a lesson. Okay. Okay. This one says, Samson, should someone or a company who have defrauded the state be prosecuted or just asked to pay the money? I'm sure you may have sent this before you heard the Attorney General. He separated the issues. Unless, irrespective of that, you still want to ask this question. Our institutions who should uphold the laws are weak and politically made dormant. Ghana is doomed. Could you send this one from the UK? Ernest Taifa, okay, you are still talking about what lessons Nanado and the MPP have taught you in the process of the petition.
The lessons.
This one, Collins Yabua Asomeni says, Samson, fit to say that your program is the best I know. It lifts enlivens my weekend. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your panelists. To Kweku Bako. I say the sky is the limit. Hi Samson, love my attire. Well, that's okay. Just get in touch with Latida, as I keep telling you about Latida all the time. Just get in touch with Latida. That's 020-433-6444. 020-433-6444. They will do you a nice outfit for the Christmas. It's not late. Yes, they have. Prince Achreko says, in Ghana, majority of the population is Christian, Muslim. However, there is corruption in every part of the society, and so many people are not honest. So where are the Christians and Muslim values we claim to follow? That's a very interesting question. This one says, Samson, the writ filed by the Attorney General to retrieve the state money from Waterville and Isofoton is cosmetic. Nothing will come out of it. Oh, you are so sure about that. This is Spike. Now, he's sending this from Ohio in the United States of America. Nana says, isn't it always the truth? And the truth isn't always pretty. Okay. It's time to face the facts. This may not be what you want to hear, but about it, you realize how much sense it makes. Companies are being chased now, whereas people entrusted to have prevented all the financial brouhaha are walking and bragging. Okay, that's the issue we just spoke about finally. Thank you very much, Presidential Staffer, who has some specific instructions in the area that we are going to talk about. Clement Apak, good afternoon and welcome to Newsfile.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me on your program this afternoon.
Okay. Sorry, but we're going to have you very briefly. Where are we with these initiatives? The President has spoken about his own code of ethics, then bringing certain laws together, which require some, parliamentary legislative process. But first of all, tell me, you are in charge of this particular task force that is supposed to go after warehouses that are evading taxes. How far with that one?
Well, first of all, thanks for giving me the chance to explain a point or two. With regard to the earlier question that you posed, the processes are going on. Some of the proposals for the coming into being of new legislation and indeed amending some existing legislation to give the present institutions which have the mandate to identify, investigate, and prosecute acts of corruption are ongoing. As you may be aware, the Code of Conduct for Public Officials Bill has gone through Cabinet and is now in Parliament. The President also indicated his full support for the passage of the Right to Information Bill as well as the National Action Plan against corruption. He's also talked about the need to amend sections of the Witness Protection Act to allow it to better serve the purpose of protecting witnesses who will come forward with information that can lead to the identification, investigation, and prosecution of corruption. So in terms of the legislative aspect, this is largely within the domain of the Attorney General's Department and Parliament. Now, other specific instructions were given with regards to topical issues pertaining to proposed acts of corruption. And the timelines that the President gave are beginning to be approached. So we are seeing reports coming in from various entities and persons and ministers who were given specific directives to take specific action. And that is why, for example, before the end of this week, yesterday, there was some communication around some 3 companies which are going to be paying back 55 million Ghana cedis. So the directives that the President has given are also being actualized, and the reports are beginning to come in.
In respect of that example, you just gave, there is a certain view within the public space that the president should show a lot more commitment than simply getting laws written in black and white and going to parliament to promulgate them. Because in this particular instance, for example, he has the power to take certain administrative action, get people to resign, those who took decisions that have been found to be decisions that they would not have taken if they were managing their own private companies.
Well, I can appreciate the anxiety of the good people of Ghana, but we must also recognize that we are functioning within a constitutional dispensation, and therefore it is only appropriate that before punitive measures are exacted, there is concrete evidence that would identify specific entities and individuals and the levels of their culpability. And indeed, it is not the case that the president is not holding the bull by the horn or is not prepared to crack the whip. And I think that if you look at what has happened so far, and the fact that he has even challenged his appointees and ministers inclusive, that his decision to maintain or not maintain them, as the case may be, is going to be largely predicated on how aggressively they contribute towards his fight against corruption, and to the extent that the actualized components of the Auditor General's report specifically pertaining to their areas of supervision. So yes, we have to be patient, but we must rest assured that the president has signaled action, and as we are gravitating towards the new year, Ghanaians will begin to see the action that he has promised them. So within that context, people may have their different interpretations, all right, but as he himself has said, he is going to take action, and he doesn't want anyone to accuse him of witch hunting, and that is the point that I want to emphasize.
Okay, that is where some are saying, Dr. Park, that is where some are saying that at this moment we have made an emphatic pronouncement on the JIDA contracts, and we have said some of them were unconscionable. Monies ought to be refunded. Those who superintended them, some of them are still in government and in very high placed positions in government. So the question is, forget about the criminal aspect. He has the power to sanction some of them, but demonstrate his commitment by even removing some of them from his government.
Samson, these are processes. And simply because we want it to be done this way does not mean that the president has to do it the way we want. And there's really no basis to suggest that because it hasn't happened now, it may not happen. There are a lot of other processes that must unfold before certain actions are going. So the processes have started. As you are fully aware, Yoko has invited and interrogated a number of people, and let the system unfold and let the chiefs fall where they may. Rest assured that action is going to be taken. I asked
the first question. You are in charge of that task force that is supposed to get us our money, where warehouses are evading, companies that have put stuff in warehouses are evading tax. In fact, that is criminal, really. The target was how much that you were going to retrieve. How much have you backed so far?
Well, I must correct something very small. I wish I really was at that high of the pecking order to lead a task force like that. I only communicate on behalf of the task force, but the task force is under the leadership of the Chief of Staff, Mr. Prosper Bani. But here as it may, we are expecting to retrieve slightly above 700 million when all is said and done. So far, we are collating the final figures, and I can say that most of the companies which were very quick to go public in trying to deny profitability have been first in line in terms of trying to redeem themselves, and they have started making payments. Now, the CID is inviting all of them, and some of them have come forward with receipts that preliminary investigations show that the companies themselves may have been defrauded by company officials acting in connivance with some unscrupulous customs officers. So as they are coming forward with these purported payments, the others are also making the payments. And I'm sure that early next week we should be able to provide specific figures about how much has come to the public coffers after this case broke. But I can tell you that for the moment, roughly, I know that in excess of 10 million Ghana cedis has come back to check.
I see.
But you must remember, this is 290 companies. And the amount that I'm indicating is an amount that has come from only 4.
Okay.
So once we do all the numbers, I can guarantee you that we will have retrieved a very substantial amount. And of course, the other processes needed to hold both public officials and corporate officials accountable are ongoing within the context of the work of the CID.
Sounds like very good news. Before you leave us, tell us, the president is appraising his ministers. Rate him.
Yes.
Rate him ratio of 1 to 10. How has he done in the fight against corruption?
You mean to rate the president?
Yep.
Well, that is a very difficult question.
Don't run away. Don't run away from it like your colleague did.
And a full soldier of the president.
Oh, but you are in the forefront. You are in the forefront. You are in the forefront of communicating and projecting his corruption fight.
I agree. Because I am very close to the theater itself, the center of action, and because of what I know, I will give my president 100%.
100%. I said
yes,
1 to 10. I said 1 to 10.
Something that has not been done.
Dr. Park, 1 to 10.
The Fourth Republic.
Dr. Park, 1 to 10. That's the ratio.
Well, I'll give him 10.
10.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful
Thank you. Thank you very much. You give the president 10. Yes, for his fight against corruption. I'll start with you, Abdul Malik. The president's intervention, direct intervention in all of these processes.
10 over what?
It's 1 to 10, and he's giving him 10, all of
10.
it.
Okay.
Gabi, you don't know what he's doing? That's how he does his things,
Interventions in what sense?
Through legislation, all of these things,
Yeah, but it's
Code of ethics, codifying all the laws on corruption so that, people can be caught.
It's an ongoing process.
Right.
All governments have issued such initiatives. The important point is whether you have the willpower. And our own attitudes, too, must change. I don't want to rate. I think that the key thing is for the parliament. Look, the Committee on Government Assurances. I think that committee should wake up.
Kweku, don't rate. Tell us, how do you see this president do in the fight against corruption?
Well, it is not something you can loud at this stage. I think it's too early. I haven't seen any results. So why should I rate? It's too early. It's too premature.
You're saying he's done 0?
No.
You say you haven't seen anything?
I'll give him 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10?
Yes.
Okay. That sounds like charitable or uncharitable. What would you say?
I don't know the basis for his 3.
We're talking about the perception, the things he's doing and what he's expected to do.
At least I've seen a president for the first time in this country who has decided to prosecute his own people.
Oh. Is that the first time?
Yes.
In this country?
Malam Issa was not your own.
Malam Issa.
Malam Issa was not your own.
Look, and
if your own is
a minister of agriculture was prosecuted and jailed. You said the first time in this country.
No, for this constitution.
Yeah, so now clarify yourself. And I don't even see why you say Malam Issa was not a member of government.
No. One of his own. One of his own. I've distinguished it. You must understand the distinction. You must agree that Malam Issa is a PNC.
But you was in the government. That's what Kukui said.
Yes, and I am going further to give you a distinction.
No, but who is being prosecuted?
I am giving you further distinction.
No, Samson asks, who is being prosecuted under this government?
I'm saying that investigated.
Yeah.
I'm saying for the first time, we have seen a president who is investigating.
You said prosecute.
Yes.
Prosecute. Okay.
Because before it happened, VRA was probed.
No.
VRA was probed
Koku.
On 3-4 different levels. What are you talking about?
Okay, Koko, now let's allow him. Go on.
So you have a president who has put in place a mechanism to investigate one of his own or his own people in terms of those in government.
You have been told that it's not new.
It's not new.
No, I'm saying that
VRA was probed.
VRA was probed by
yes.
By who?
The Auditor General, National Security, Parliament. In fact, Parliament came in the final Ministry of Energy. 4 levels.
Yes. But then
before you people say you won't agree to that.
You didn't find a president who, in this case, is hesitant to do this.
Oh.
You have somebody who says that...
He's shifting the goalposts.
No. These were my submissions. These were my thoughts. You find a president who says that, look, go and face the investigation committee. He did not say that he will not investigate his people because that will bring down his government.
Who said so?
The former President Kufuor set up accountability office.
And they derided it?
No. This accountability office was just an office that was like a school prophet who went around and saw his own colleagues and came back and said that nothing is
early
happening.
warning sign.
Kuku, let me make my submission,
system.
please.
Yeah, Kuku, allow him.
Let me make my submission.
But he's not being fair.
Kuku, allow him. So, because you have a president who has not shielded his own people.
Who did?
I am of the view that this is a president who is well-intentioned. This is a president who has, as a matter of fact, indicated to the Attorney General to take some specific steps to ensure that persons who have benefited illegally from contracts which are not well-founded to be retrieved. I will not give such a president 3. These are my points.
Right.
I think that what we should be doing as a people is to support a president who is well-intentioned. I agree that probably we need to follow up on some of the things that the president says that they must be done.
And you give him how much? How do you rate him?
We are not there yet. The fight against corruption is not completed yet.
But so far,
I will give the president 8. 8. We are not there yet.
So then we are already there.
Yes, we are not there yet. I'm saying we are not there yet. We are not there yet.
Well, I really think that
I'll give the president 8.
we keep shifting the goalposts. You know, ever since was it Obama came here and left, we've all moved from big leadership, you know, to institutions. And I don't know why, when it comes to a certain point in time, we quickly go back to this leadership
but
thing.
We haven't moved from leadership.
No.
Leadership.
Oh, please.
But there are those who challenge Obama's
Obama's
position. It's not really about strong institutions. It's also about strong people in those institutions. We have strong institutions in Ghana, which are very weak leaders who don't even know the powers they have.
It's not just a question of establishing institutions, but strengthen the institutions. That's the second point I'm coming to. That we should strengthen the institutions. You understand? What is, I mean, with all due respect to my friends in government, how far can they go with a task force on, revenue mobilization from the presidency? They go far. But how far, how long, you know? We have institutions of states, SEPs, revenue, IRS, and whatnot. I think that even as in the short term, we are undertaking this task force thing, we should be making sure that people we put in these positions, you know, work for the money that they are paid for. These institutions must be strengthened. If they are weak, whatever it is, if they might need some real training, we should go through. You understand? Yes, my good friend and colleague, Mr. Dr. Park, may be garnering 100 million or whatnot. But do we know how much is going out? You know, on the blind side, there's a lot more. So I would even feel more comfortable that as they go on with this task force, we also put in a little more money into training the people, reorienting the officers in these establishments so that they do their work in the first place. Because nobody can do the work of SEPs at the port from the castle. Nobody can do the work of the immigration people at the port, at the barrier from the castle. Those people who are there must be strengthened. I know we have time, we'll go through that. So I would say that there's some sense of cynicism that is the issue of
You're
corruption.
quoting the president.
No, not just that. President Kufuor said the same thing about cynicism. You see, there's an easy shot.
We know the cost of everything, but the value of none. That's what President Kufuor said.
When you talk about corruption is the easiest thing to tout, but very difficult to trap or to. But I think we should make more effort. For instance, I think that at the presidency, I'm sorry, I don't know how to use this platform as well, but probably we should be looking for some establishment, a committee or whatnot that can also receive, actual complaints from people. I remember some time ago we had to set up something in the nature of a committee to remove bottlenecks in administrative something. You will find out quite a number of times people just slow down and whatnot because they are not getting what they expect to get from them. The top down. It's like the decision is not moving that fast because something is not happening or because I'm this. So we need probably a broader team, a strong team that will make sure it's a supervisory thing. Make sure that they can catch up with that. People will have a way of linking back to the center as to the weaknesses in the system. Why the system is not moving that fast? Because I think that we deserve to move faster. The economy needs to grow, bigger and larger. There are a lot of weaknesses that are showing. We cannot deal with them only by way of educational task force. But these institutions, I say that must be strengthened. I wholly disagree with the idea that a president must be rated as how far he goes. A president is as good as the institutions which operate on the
Right, Gabi, and I was talking, you mentioned Obama and all, and I was talking about Obama and the challenge to the fact that it's not really about strong institutions, but it's also about people with strong men and women who would, lead the institutions. In that argument, for example, the Auditor General's Department, this is one of the laws that is being used to question that Obama sort of saying. Under Section 18 of the Audit Service Act, the Auditor General has the power to disallow any item of expenditure which is contrary to law, and then surcharge the amount on the person responsible for incurring or authorizing the expenditure. That where there has been a loss or deficiency, he has the power to surcharge that on the person by whose negligence or misconduct that loss or deficiency arose. We've never seen the Auditor General ever use this power. Absolutely. They only go give us reports, and PAC sits on the reports, make recommendations, and we come back.
Absolutely. So it's also about leadership of integrity. I mean, today's print edition of the Economist magazine, which says that the president must get a grip, John Mahama. He ends by saying he's just to prove that he has both courage and integrity. And it's really the bottom line. It is the bottom line. Perhaps we should ask, I need to be educated on this. Is the 2012 Auditor General's report ready? Is it ready? And look over the last 5-6 years. We are always improving in terms of how quickly we get that report ready. 2011, 2010, it was ready, I believe, by June, July or so of the same year. But ask yourself, the very year that we chalked the highest budget deficit, 8.7%, or 12%, 8.7 billion or thereabout, and we all know that there was reckless expenditure, the Auditor General's report is not ready. And is it an institutional weakness? The institution is there. There are people who are working, but it's the integrity of the people working there that will determine whether or not the report is ready.
People who are looking over their shoulders to take one step or the other.
And sometimes, I don't know whether to feel sorry for the president, but I do to a point, a limited point. Because a lot of these things happened when he wasn't president.
What was this?
Okay?
He was
I'm coming. It happened, a lot of the expenditure we're talking about, it happened when he was vice president. Okay? But at the end of the day, a lot of decisions also benefited him, and he was part of the government. But when you look at it, we run a sort of a government where decisions were taken, sometimes not even with cabinet approval. But finance minister will still be ready to pay. Has those things changed? I think President John Mahama is practicing the philosophy of autocracy.
What crazy?
Autocracy.
Autocracy.
I see. It's all, no, seriously, it's autocracy. We had, under Mills, we had committees. Under John Mahama, we have task forces. That's basically the value is what.
Are the task forces not necessary?
I'm coming.
They are bringing in results, right?
No, get to a point.
The multiplicity of task forces is a sign of systemic failure.
Absolutely. And the bottom line really is you talk, APAC said what? They are bringing in new legislations. New legislations? Even the existing ones, you are not implementing them. There's no courage to implement them. And when the president lacks the courage to take actions or decisions that may hurt his own people, then that president, his integrity will be questioned. And so
you're speaking as if the president is the Attorney General.
No, it's not about.
You're talking about him in respect of the enforcement of law, or that he's the police.
No. But you mentioned there are things that the president can do in terms of asking people to resign. You are asking people with intention to make $1 million You're asking them to resign, but those who are dissipating millions and millions of Ghana cedis through whether it's recklessness or because they benefit from them, they are still in office.
Okay.
You know,
just an example
where the president's intervention was called for.
No. Just the
we are passing Witness Protection Act. We are dealing with it when even the Whistleblowers Act. It's not been implemented. When somebody blows the whistle, he's the one who ends up in court.
Who has gone to court for blowing the whistle?
Somebody has
been pursued by the police.
Not too long ago. Just cast your mind back. Somebody blew the whistle on a minister.
No. Something. I'm surprised you're saying
in President Mills's
No.
regime.
And he's the one who got into trouble.
I'm talking about the sports ministry.
Yes,
remember
under the Whistleblower Act.
Back to court.
No, that's why you're getting it wrong.
And got reinstated.
You are getting it wrong. Under the Whistleblower Act, there are institutions and individuals who you should direct your...
Okay, so you're saying...
So you can't wait. You need to pass
it. He's not a whistleblower. Okay. If you don't fall under that...
Okay, I get you.
You're not a whistleblower.
I get you.
You can't just go to the press and say you are a whistleblower. You must fall under the categories of persons who are to receive your complaint.
Thank you.
Are you a whistleblower when you go to my village and start beating Gwangwa?
Well, that's about...
But information came...
That is not a whistleblower. You are a lawyer. You know that you must follow procedure.
Gentlemen,
you know
the information came from
information matters. In that case, we should have passed a law of whistleblower.
Gentlemen, we have 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes to get out of the studio. But we have the energy crisis and how it's been managed so far, labor unrest, and also matters coming up in respect of labor issues. Maybe we should put the two together. Take about two minutes of comments from each one of you.
I start with 2 minutes.
I start with Nana. No. I will hold you to it. I start with Nana. We've witnessed so many, labor agitations and all of that. The Fair Wages Commission, the Labor Commission itself has really failed. They failed. They couldn't, stop them. The president had to intervene at certain point, but things still, didn't really seem to have worked that well.
Yes, I think this is one of the challenges that face this government. We all know how the single spine thing came up. It was a proposition that was thrown in at the last minute by our going government. Not much was put in,
And you implemented it.
Oh, please. So, because there's very little you can do. I mean, it's like taking a sweet...
Nobody put a gun to your head to implement
it. Absolutely. It's you have a child, a baby, and then you drop something in the mouth. And then sweet thing, they want to take it out, There's be a big resistance.
It was too
but let's get on. Let me get on.
Okay.
But the point about it is that no matter what it is a good initiative. It was intended well. We didn't have the funds to support it. People were also, workers were not ready to go the slow path. Right. So at the end of the day, we've had a lot of time. I think that no matter what
it looks like 2014, we are going to start on another note because salaries are not going to be raised.
Oh yeah, absolutely. GMA too has even GMA has also raised a flag as usual, and I think that some of these
and they have cogent arguments.
Yeah. These are some of these issues. We will live with them for a while, right. But I'm sure that in another 12 months, we should see.
You're excited about the power situation, Dumso, which is over.
Well, you remember I asked the minister the critical question. You see, because I don't feel comfortable when an answer is given as though once the Bui Dam comes, that's the end of our problem. Right. Because there's a shortfall, and I'm happy that he did indicate that we will be working consistently towards
filling that 200 megawatts annually.
Exactly,
and
then we need a private private partner thing to come in.
Gabi, what do you say about the labor front and the energy situation?
Well, the labor front, I think really we're going to have more of that next year, the agitations, and the bottom line is really this. We are not raising enough revenue, okay? Business confidence, business activity is low. Somehow picking up, but still, if you look at the figures from the BOG, it's too low. You're talking about a single spine. In terms of the percentage of the wage bill to GDP, hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. But it's really also, sometimes what they do is rather than paying, it turns into arrears, and the arrears build up and the rest of it. Yet, we still find money for the GDAs and the rest. So you are having a government that passes the budget, ignores the budget, and does what it does with our money.
I see.
And
but
so
the
once you
has
continue
improved
with
in your place, just that now it's expensive for you, right?
Well, the day that I got down, I had a president saying that it's over.
Yes.
Yet when the plane was landing, the whole country was dark. At least the parts of the Accra that I live in. And the most significant thing that happened this year is Build Dam, which had absolutely nothing to do with the government. So really, you want to ask yourself.
The government continued the project and
the project was there.
It.
Money's
So it certainly has something to do with it.
But let me just finish. The one project, the gas plant, is taking us 4 years.
We'll get there.
The gas plant.
Thank you.
And every day that we delay on this, it's costing us $1 million.
Yes.
Labor agitations are things that would bother every government. They will stay with every government. The ability of that government to rise over them and solve the problems is what is critical. And this government has shown that it can deal with labor and resolve problems. You remember the labor was saying that it was going on strike, it was going to close down offices, but government was able to resolve it. So the government must always be ready.
Do you know that 25% tariff reduction has not been implemented?
This is a government that has shown strength in resolving labor disputes. Now, you talk about Dumso. Nobody can say that our generation capacity has not improved. It has. Right. What you are now seeing is the issue of distribution. That's the next level. And I'm sure 2014, government will tackle the distribution issue. And the plane that you were coming with, next time when you are coming with that plane, the plane will see lies everywhere. So the bottom line was that generation was a problem.
Right.
We have moved a bit and we have improved our generation. Right. It's now left of the distribution.
The labor front, I'm not sure whether I really heard it right. Is there a talk of possible wage freeze next year?
Yes.
It's not like it's a policy.
Talk of possible wage freeze.
It's a proposal. Yeah.
So he captured it correctly.
And inflation will be what? Frozen as well?
It could be.
That's what the GMA is asking.
It could be, if it's implemented, it could be a blueprint for protracted industrial agitation. And I'll crave the indulgence of the
blueprint for protracted industrial agitation.
Take it from me. And I would say, I can call him John. He will indulge me. John, don't do it.
But
don't do it. Then you skipped it. I have one more area. The market fires and arsonists.
The committee.
The disclosure, full disclosure of the U.S. report. Where is it? I think that's
maybe government as well.
Look, it's a telling indictment on government. We were told so many things, so many conspiracy theories were pushed, and then we were told that we had invited these Americans to come and assist, and a report will be made public. We were promised.
All right.
You see, I think it's so unfair to Ghanaians.
Have we been told that there are security
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And on this note, and on behalf of multimedia, on behalf of multimedia and our teeming listeners across the globe, we want to say Merry Christmas. Thank you, and Merry Christmas to all of you guys. You've done a yeoman's job on this show.
We're coming next year
in the course of the year. I must remember to extend the same to Ayikwe, to all the guys who have come into this studio to enrich the discussion. We know that Ghana, listens to this show.
Not just Ghana.
Yes.
I'm over there. People, they have never been in Ghana for about 20 years, but they recognize me from Newsfile. But it's not good. It's not good. I'm trying to
It's not good, eh? Okay. Thank you very much. So, today my guests have been Abdul Malik Kubako Jr., who is our regular panelist, Abraham Amalba, He is with the NDC's legal team. He's a private legal practitioner and lectures in law as well. Nana Atodazi is a former chief of staff and also a private legal practitioner who was also with the NDC team and spoke for them in the election petition. Gabi Asari Ochridako, former executive director of the Dankwa Institute. Is Mustafa who is taking over, right? Yeah. Great. That's Mustafa also another very intelligent chap.
No, he was acting.
Gabi too is a private legal practitioner. My name is Samson Ladi Anyenini on behalf of Sedemofori, Emmanuel Kofi Ansah, Emmanuel Ante, Abubakar, all the guys, Joe Saki, everybody. We say have a Merry Christmas. We'll be back next year. Have a good afternoon.